Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I see issue with that. And again, hey.
You're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. That's not going to happen.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome, one and all, to a Sunday evening edition of the Do Dissidents podcast. My name is Keaton Weiss, here, of course, with Russell Dobular.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thanks for showing up to my birthday party. Appreciate that. I am 38 years young today. Apparently, I share a birthday with my my Bizarro World online content creator, Jack Posobiec. Apparently, it's his birthday today, too. Yeah.
That's strange.
He's like the Bizarro version of me in every way. Everybody, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you all. Already got some nice birthday wishes here in the Super Chats. That's lovely. Thank you for being here. Thanks, Jake, for being here in the booth with us tonight. Jake is here. We got a lovely crowd filing in, 725 strong in the Rumble chat, 676 strong on YouTube. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and smash that follow button over there on Rumble. So
all right. So Keaton, Keaton's a day walker. But this guy, he may be half Maltese, but he is all Jew. I talked to him this morning. So what are you doing for your birthday? Not much.
Not much. No.
Nothing really.
Yeah.
Man.
It was a pretty chill day. Yeah, I never made a big deal out of my birthday. Not a lot of fanfare around my birthday. Yeah. Yeah, the only reason we do it now is because, it's fun for the show. See, I got the little thing. My guys got me, the happy birthday banner. So Amanda thought I should hang that in back of me for the show. This
Very
is
nice.
something that she got me. Dear husband, the future can wait. That's a poem. She got that framed for me, so that's one of my birthday presents.
Oh, okay.
And then this was another birthday present that my boys had made up for me, a little coffee thermos with family photos on it. See, there they are. Based Mario and Luigi for Halloween. Based, if you know what I mean. The two based boys.
It's almost like they saw it coming.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to be questions. They're going to be taken in. So listen, we got to ask you a couple of three things, right? But yeah, thanks everybody for being here. Should be a fun evening. We have a lot of stuff to get to. And so before we jump right into content, we want to plug a special event, which is going to be tomorrow night at 8 p.m. here on the YouTube channel and the Rumble channel. We're going to be screening our good friend Ellen Jimerson's film called The Second Cooler, which is about immigration and immigrant rights and immigration policy as it pertains to NAFTA, how free trade policies really decimated the middle class on both sides of the U.S.-Mexico border, which is an interesting part of the story that you never hear told. We always hear about how NAFTA decimated our middle class. This film really gets into what it did to the Mexican middle class as well. And it's a really powerful film. We screened it on our channel like 2 years ago, almost exactly 2 years ago. Back when we had
that long ago?
Yeah, it was January 2023.
Jesus,
so
really?
It was almost exactly 2 years ago. Yeah. Back when we had like 4,000 subscribers. And so we had like 30 people watching at a time, which at the time we were very proud of. But now we know we'll get a bigger audience. And given the political environment, we think it's an important time to show this film. We will have our friend Ellen and another immigration expert named Todd Miller on the show for an interview / talk back after the film. That's going to be tomorrow at 8 p.m. So what I'm going to do now is just for a couple minutes show you the trailer of the film to give you a taste of what's to come tomorrow.
Why have millions of Latin Americans left their homes and families to make an illegal, expensive, dangerous, and sometimes deadly journey north?
In a few moments, I will sign the North American Free Trade Act into law.
The government understood at the time they signed it that they were signing away life rights for a large part of its rural population. It wasn't a surprise for the government leaders, and it wasn't a surprise for the peasantry.
More people have died crossing the U.S.-Mexico border than died as a result of the September 11th terrorist attacks and Hurricane Katrina combined.
Cada día recordaba esa noche, cuando muchas personas no lograron cruzar.
And that's what the system of global apartheid is. It's morally corrupt.
This is the second cooler that we built to accommodate the overflow of border crosser deaths that we have. Generally, these people can be here for months and sometimes even years as we attempt to identify them.
A couple of years ago, a migrant died almost in the back door of the Baptist church in cells, and nobody said a word. You would think it was a stray dog that died.
So we're going to be showing that again tomorrow. I'm looking to it. It's a great film. It's very, very powerful. It is emotionally very intense. And we had a great time a couple years ago when we screened it, but we'll have a much bigger audience this time. So we're looking forward to that tomorrow. So tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern for that. That'll be quite the time. All right. So before, I should say without any further ado, I guess we should get going, right? I guess we can get started.
Rock and roll, birthday boy.
Let's rock and roll, everybody. All right, folks. So I want to pick up where we started last show. We're going to update. From now on, I think we're going to start every show with a drone update. Maybe not every show, but we got to give you a drone update.
The story is starting to get strange.
It is starting to get strange.
I dismissed it at first.
Yeah. I mean, I still don't think it's an Iranian mothership. I still think that's ridiculous. But
no,
it is
but
getting weird.
Something's going on.
There's something going on here.
This isn't just a story that's being ginned up. There's something going on here that's not normal.
We have to figure out what the hell is going on. That's what Donald Trump thinks. He says Trump calls for mystery drones to be shot down. President-elect Trump on Friday evening called for authorities to shoot down the mysterious drones that have been seen in the skies of New Jersey and around the country. He also suggested the government must know more about the mysterious sighting. So he tweets out on his Truth Social, mystery drone sightings all over the country. Can this really be happening without our government's knowledge? I don't think so. Let the public know, and now. Otherwise, shoot them down. DJT. So let's say it was aliens. Who would be the funnier president during an alien invasion, Donald Trump or Joe Biden? I mean, that is close. That's really close. I mean, it would have to go to Trump, I guess.
It would have to go to Trump.
You know, in an alien invasion scenario, actually, we'd probably be best off with Kamala because they'd see Kamala and be like, I guess this one got here first. I guess she is. Yeah. Sorry. Extraterrestrial life already discovered this planet.
Do you have the technology to fix a melting brain?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because I'll go
the
with
victor
you
belong
right
the spoils.
now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They would mistake Kamala for an alien, and they'd be like, well, I guess somebody beat us to it. Time to move on. So she'd probably be the best in that scenario. But imagine Trump fighting the aliens. I mean, what a way to go out as a species. As a planet.
We have
never mind a
Space
species.
Force on the way to engage the alien menace right now.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That would be quite something. The post, his Truth Social post, comes as there have been mounting reports of sightings in New Jersey, New York, and according to Philadelphia's WPVI-TV, multiple reports of flying objects within Delaware and Philadelphia counties. The Pentagon on Wednesday denied that any foreign country was behind the mysterious drones that have flown near sensitive U.S. military sites in New Jersey. Lawmakers from New Jersey and New York, areas that the mysterious drones have flown over, sent a letter Thursday to the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, and Federal Aviation Administration demanding a briefing on the drones. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrats from New York, along with New Jersey Senators Cory Booker and Andy Kim, asked agencies how they are working to identify and address the source of recent unmanned aerial system activity. House Speaker Mike Johnson received a classified briefing on the drone sightings earlier on Friday. All right, so he knows what's going on. I guess he hasn't told Donald Trump yet. So here is a pretty funny piece of video and pretty eerie piece of video. So this is from the Department of Satire, obviously not a real government agency here. Breaking news alert from Channel 7, ABC News. We have no idea what this is. This is pretty weird, wild stuff.
Things like this are happening. It seems everyone starts to look up, like my crew and I have been here in Mendham recording this video that you're looking at right now. We have no idea what it is, if it's a natural phenomenon, because it could be, but this is why so many municipalities are now asking people to reach out and send their videos to them or to experts who might be able to sort out what they're seeing in the skies. But I guarantee there are so many people looking up and making those recordings because this mystery is one that needs to be solved. For now, we're live here in Mendham Borough. Tony Yates, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Lee's saying he's wondering whether or not that might be the moon, Tony, but you pointed out
it's not the moon.
Exactly the question people are asking. What is it?
No. Yeah.
Is it the
We're
moon?
looking at the moon right now, and that's nowhere near the moon.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right, we will keep you updated on that. Yeah, it does get strange. There's a News Nation reporter, Rich McHugh, didn't give the drone story much credence, thinking it was pranksters, but then he had a change of heart based on his experience. So here's his reporting.
Hi, Elizabeth. Well, I got to be honest here. You know, when this story first came out a few weeks ago, as a resident of New Jersey, as a journalist, I didn't pay it much credence. I thought it would turn out to be a bunch of pranksters, and this would all be over by now. The experience I had last night, however, changed the way I feel about this story completely. What I saw was more sophisticated than I ever imagined. Take a look.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 lights, 6 lights.
I didn't believe what I was seeing. But what was I seeing?
Like
We're here in Central Jersey. We've been looking for the past hour. I think we've seen about 40 or 50 of these drones.
Like some of them do look
but
like planes.
But with this same guy, they showed one that was like hovering, and planes don't hover.
Yeah, no, I mean, certainly not all of them are planes. Like some of them, look, obviously, if everybody's pointing their cameras at the sky, some people are going to photograph airplanes and mistake them for drones. Yeah. Okay, so that's happened sometimes, but not all the time. I mean, there's definitely bullshit going on up there.
In fact, there's one over my shoulder right there.
This.
One after another, these drones appeared in the night sky. If you look real close, they look like fixed-wing aircraft, about 8 to 10 feet wide, colorful, white blinking lights.
That is not a plane.
Definitely not an airplane, but what was it? Hours earlier, I was invited to join the Ocean County Sheriff Department. They launched their own drones to see if they could intercept the mysterious aircraft New Jersey residents have been reporting in recent weeks. The department says these mystery drones evade detection because they don't give off heat like regular drones. Why do you think that is?
We don't know. It's just something that we haven't, it's not something that we've had our hands on. It's not something that we've experienced.
Something they hadn't experienced until now. One of their officers called 911 after seeing 50 of them come off the ocean.
Advised after we made contact with that officer that there were 50 that came off the ocean.
50?
50. That was my reaction also. There were 50 that were coming off the ocean.
And this is a sworn officer?
A sworn officer, yes. We contacted state police, we contacted the FBI, we contacted the Coast Guard, at which point the Coast Guard went out with their boat, and they reported seeing 13 following their boat, and then the Coast Guard also advised that they went over them about 300 feet and had a wingspan of about 8 feet.
I see one right here. Did I see the same thing that officer saw? I'm still not sure. What I can show you is this video. What I can tell you is I've never seen anything like it before. Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, this doesn't get any less weird as you go on.
Nobody wants to talk about how Barack Obama landed on the front lawn of the White House from a spaceship.
Exactly.
This is
Did
Barack
I miss
Obama's
that?
people coming to finish the job.
I didn't tune in this afternoon. Sorry, I must have missed that. We were missing
Missed
key
that.
updates, obviously. Yes. Sorry about that, Alex. Nick Sorter tweets out Representative Chris Smith from New Jersey is drafting legislation to allow state and local police to shoot down drones since the DOD is refusing to act. So the Pentagon is keeping things very close to the vest. They have given briefings to certain people. So Mike Johnson received a classified briefing, but it seems like most people are still in the dark about this. So here's Chris Smith.
State and local law enforcement is precluded by law from taking more decisive action, which is why DOD must. They are the ones who have the ability and the authority to act. Congress, yes, and the president, yes, need to move quickly to expand state and local authorities, powers. But DOD has it right now. Sheriff Golden wrote me a few days ago requesting legislation to empower the state police to seriously protect at-risk persons and infrastructure, and if necessary, bring down a dangerous drone or drones. I am now drafting that bill and will soon introduce it. I want to thank him for that idea.
All right. Now, this is making the rounds online quite a bit. So this is John Ferguson, CEO of Saxon Aerospace, a company specializing in manned drone manufacturing, has speculated that the mysterious drones appearing across various regions could be linked to U.S. government efforts to locate missing radioactive nuclear materials. Ferguson suggested that such drones, which often operate under the cover of night, might be engaged in intelligence gathering or classified military operations. According to Ferguson, a whistleblower informed him about a missing nuclear warhead and their attempts to alert government officials to expedite its recovery. He indicated that the drones might play a role in tracking down this highly dangerous and sensitive material. So this is what he's saying. Obviously, we are not reporting this as fact, but this is his speculation, which has been taken quite seriously by a lot of people. It seems to make a modicum of sense, at least coming from an expert. We're certainly in no position to second guess much of it, but take this for what you will. But here it is.
In the 1980s, Ronald Reagan had dismantled the nuclear program, and there were, with Russia, there were countless nuclear missiles that were disarmed and disposed of. Well, there were over 80, I believe. There were over 80 nuclear warheads that were in Ukraine that came up missing. Okay. We don't know where they are. Maybe somebody does, but nobody really knows where these are. And I speak with some pretty high-level government officials on this stuff, and it seems as though that is the case. So I spoke to a gentleman a few months ago who was trying to raise an alarm to the highest levels of our government, which they had their ears closed, about this one particular nuclear warhead that he physically put his hands on. He physically touched this warhead that was left over from Ukraine. And he knew that that thing was headed towards the United States. Okay? That is a very serious deal. And everyone knows that the United States government, this administration, is pushing to get into a war with Russia. We all know that. We all feel it. We all see it. Okay? Well, back up a few years. Do y'all remember when those drones were mysteriously flying across the Interstate 70 corridor from Colorado up into Nebraska, down here into Kansas, and out into Missouri? Well, it was believed that those drones were looking for radioactive material because there had been some material that came up missing here in the United States, and they felt like it was high probability that the nuclear or the radioactive material would be taken along the Interstate 70 corridor heading east or west or south. So from what we understand, they were out there trying to find this radioactive material. So with this...
So that's a cut. This is a 9-minute video. We're playing about 3 minutes. You can find this. This is all over social media, but we're not going to sit here for 9 minutes. See, this guy has to know. See, he says at the beginning of the full cut that he's new to TikTok. One thing you got to work on is you got to be more concise. You know,
Yes.
you're talking about a very
Yes.
dumbed down country with a very limited attention span. Really, 3 minutes, wrap it up. Otherwise, we don't want to hear it. Even if it is about the end of the world and, you know, a lost nuclear weapon, it's like, come on, 3-4 minutes
especially
tops.
now,
That's
you
it.
have to talk extra fast before they close up shop on January 13th.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yes.
This gentleman that I had spoken with, who was trying to raise the alarm to try to get somebody in the government to say, hey, we need to work together to go try to find this nuclear warhead. None of that ever happened. They knew that warhead was on its way to the United States. That's all that ever came of it. Nothing ever happened. This government did not do anything at all to help this gentleman raise the alarm and raise awareness that there is a very deadly weapon on its way to the United States. It's out there. Nobody knows where it's at now. It left Europe. Now it's gone. So my guess, my own guess, is that these drones are not nefarious in intent. If they are, they are, but I doubt it. But if they are drones, the only reason why they would be flying and flying that low is because they're trying to smell something on the ground. That's it. There's no other reason for a drone to be flying in the air other than to piss a bunch of people off at night. That's it. So, my belief is they're trying to smell something on the ground. Gas leaks, radioactive material, whatever.
So that's his guess. You look, I mean, we're not experts in this field. Who are we to second guess that? That seems to make more sense than an Iranian mothership. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that we can dismiss out of hand. What I'm saying is at this point, we can safely say this is not just one of those things. Because no matter what they're saying, you cannot just fly drones by military bases without them being shot down. They don't need any special authorization they don't already have to do that. The Stewart Airport up there got shut down by this drone activity.
Right, shutting down airfields, yeah.
If they really didn't know what this was, they'd be sending out fighter jets to shoot these down.
Right.
No, the idea, we're helpless. We're looking at no. So at that point, it's not an Iranian operation; it's a government operation. So then you have to ask why. This makes as much sense as anything I can think of.
Yeah, and it makes sense that they would not want to alert the public that, hey, there's a missing nuclear weapon around here somewhere.
I've always wondered about that. I've wondered about that since the end of the Cold War, because that story came out back then at the end of the Cold War, that there was all this nuclear material missing from the former Soviet Union. As far as I know, they never found any of it.
Right. I mean, they would have to keep that under wraps to avoid a panic. They can't put out. Well, I mean, they could just do the old, if you see something, say something. Just don't touch something. Whatever you do, don't touch it. If you see
especially if it's glowing.
Yeah, especially if it's glowing. Now, on the other hand, I want to submit a piece of evidence for the record because there were reported drone sightings in my area 2 nights ago. And actually, I was driving up to the capital region from Newburgh the other night, and I saw a low-flying thing with lights, and I looked up, and it was flying pretty low, and then the lights just turned off. It was very strange. It was very weird. That may have been one. I mean, a lot of people have seen these, but there were reported drone sightings in my area, right over my county. And yesterday, when I went to the grocery store,
did you black out? Did you black out and wake up with a sore ass?
No, I didn't. No? I kept driving.
Okay.
But this speaks to what I'm saying. So the day after these drones were spotted in my neck of the woods, I parked the car at a grocery store, went out to do some food shopping, and what did I see on the pavement underneath my feet? This. What the hell is this thing? What the hell is this thing? I say that I'm not saying that is, the shed skin off an alien's pussy, but it might be. I mean, how do we know it is?
Shoot them up with puberty blockers. They trans the crabs. They trans the crabs. That's a trans crab.
That's a trans crab. Is that what you're saying it is? I don't know, man. That looks like alien skin. I'm not saying it is alien skin. I'm saying, what the fuck is that? The morning after a drone appears, that fucking thing is right up my shoe. I almost stepped on it. I was afraid if I stepped on it, who knows? That shit could get on your shoe. It could crawl into your eyeball. It could be like, a new stand thing or, whatever. But that's not good. Believe me, not good. What is that? Anybody in the chat? It could be the part of a bird carcass, or could that be some shed alien skin? No, it's not.
What it does is it crawls onto your brainstem and it attaches onto there, and it uses your eyeballs to spy for the aliens.
So, I did think, look, I decided not to call it in and report it because I figured, it's probably nothing. And even if it is, I figure, look, my indifference, what if my indifference towards human extinction actually caused human extinction? What if I could have called this in and saved life on Earth, but I chose,
that would be one of those great ironies.
That would be one of those great ironies, yeah. So, if my nonchalance ends up causing, the end of life on Earth, as we know it, sorry, not sorry. That's all I have to say about that.
It is weird. It is weird. If you lived closer to Plum Island, I would worry about it.
Yeah, it is weird. What the hell is that thing? What is that thing? The only thing
you ever see that thing they found on the shore by Plum Island?
No.
Yeah, Plum Island, we know that in the past they did biological testing and research there. So they say, you want to get into like legit stuff, they say that they really do these kind of animal chimera genetic mutation experiments there. And something washed up on a beach before they got a chance to get to it, before they could stop people from photographing and filming it. Nobody can figure out what this thing was.
Like a smushed retainer,
it's for real.
Someone says. Oh, interesting. All right. Someone says it's a smushed retainer. I don't know what that is, man. That seems weird. It's got the little sprouts coming out the side. It could be like the inside of a bird carcass, like some roadkill, like a roadkill bird.
I'll be right back.
Is that what he's talking about? I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know. Could it be a roadkill bird of some kind? I don't know. I don't know what that could be. Very, very strange. Very, very strange, though. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, folks, but that's, there you go. Okay, so there you go. Look, he's got the prop right for it. Look at that. Could be that. Looks like something like that. Now, that's an alien, right? He's got to put his headphones back in. But that, hold on, let me put his headphones back in.
It definitely looks like a face hugger.
Look, exactly. That looks like a face hugger.
Right?
I'm not saying it is. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, that's weird. For that to appear on the blacktop the morning after there were these drone sightings in my area, I don't know, man. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have called it in and said something, but I decided, probably was nothing.
Should have bent down to see if it jumped up on your face.
Well, no, I was very careful not to even step on it.
Yeah.
I didn't want any trace of that coming into the, because who knows? These things, and that could be the danger. What if it is aliens and you shoot it down and it's carrying some killer virus that just wipes out all of,
That's
life
true.
on Earth
Yeah.
in a day? You don't know.
Yeah. But it's always a schmuck like you in the movies.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. It always starts that way. So you just leave it alone. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we will keep everybody updated on those goings on. Hey, Michael Castillo is here. Thanks for the $100, Michael. Appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Let's do a cowbell for Michael. Thank you very much. And let's get Michael's sound drop going here. What do we got here?
Blasphemy against you, who the hell are you? Are you Jesus Christ, you loser?
I can't hear it. Why can't I hear that?
Blasphemy against you, who the hell are you? Are you Jesus Christ, you loser?
Now it's both of us.
I just heard it now. I just hit it.
Okay.
Thank you, Michael. It's very kind of you. Good evening, gentlemen. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and especially happy birthday to Mr. Keaton Weiss. Thank you very much. May this day be memorable for you and your loved ones. Thank you, Michael. It's very sweet of you. Very kind of you to say. Appreciate that very, very much. Michael Ewan, thanks for the $5. Just to confirm, I should be terrified of weather balloons, but there's nothing to see here when it comes to unidentified car-sized drones. Yeah, that is very strict.
Yeah, exactly.
Tons of them, too. Jay Tolbert, thanks for the donation, $9.99. Happy Born Day, Keaton, and many more. Thank you very much. JM, thanks for the $2 and the thumbs up. Kuznetsky Bassane says it's got to be a CIA false flag. Well, there's definitely something going on. I think what that guy said makes sense. That seems to make sense to me. Now, obviously, he knows a lot more than we do, and so I don't know enough to second guess or nitpick, but there seems to be a logic to that. The extraterrestrials are testing the credulity of the American public. Thank you, Kuznetsky Bassane. Lori and Brightbill says, new breed of UDI. Thank you very much. Steve Bertram says, why do you guys keep spending so much time mocking this subject? We're not mocking it. We're serious. It's weird. It's fucked up. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's kind of a funny subject.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. This is the site for gallows humor. I mean, we're not going to not have fun with this subject. I'm not saying it's not serious, but
of course,
it is funny, too. It's also funny. I mean, you can't say that's not funny, especially because it's happening in Jersey. Just like as New Yorkers, we know Jersey people. For this to be happening on the Jersey shores, that's especially funny.
There are people in this space who are serious and qualified to do commentary on current events. That has never been our show.
Yeah, right. Yes, exactly. That's never been our lane. Exactly.
There is a wide range of other shows you could check out if that's what you're after.
Who are much better than us. Yes.
You've come to the wrong place for that.
Yeah, you've come to the wrong place for quality content.
If you want gravitas and accuracy, look elsewhere, my friend.
Look elsewhere. Ken Min G, it's been a rough year for humanity. Not only did the world lose Aaron Bushnell, but it kept Bill Barr. That's right, Ken Min G. Thank you very much. Let's see here. Hillary Hinton, I'm a lover, not a fighter, but which of you fellas is going to do better in the inevitable Pale Horse, New Jersey Drone Project, Blue Beam, Bird Flu, Second Coming, Zombie Apocalypse? Also, happy birthday, Keaton. I don't know who would do better.
A lot of people who've known me long enough say I'm a survivor.
All right, so I'll give the advantage to Russell. Then again, I'm
scrappy.
Then again, I don't really leave the house much anyway. So in a virus, I'd probably do better since I pretty much stay home.
Yeah, you're already in a plastic bubble.
Yeah, I'm already in a. Yeah, exactly. My front door is an N95 mask, basically. I don't cross it. Yeah. Happy birthday, Keaton. You guys rock. Thank you, Mad Wolf. Appreciate that very much. All right, folks. We got some more funny material for you guys. So this is a nice birthday present to me because, what do I enjoy online? I enjoy the Adam Friedland show. I also enjoy Norm Finkelstein. I don't enjoy Destiny very much, but Destiny sat down with Adam Friedland for an episode of the Adam Friedland show. And this was just pretty funny stuff. This is some light fare. But as you can see, he's still feeling pretty salty about the debate with Norman Finkelstein. So here they are talking about that subject.
Satisfying for you while you're doing one.
Well, I don't want to step on any toes and open the most divisive issue ever for a prior guest, but I did a lot of preparation for the Finkelstein interview.
People said I cooked him way harder than you.
I don't think we ever debated anything of substance.
Not on your debate. Yeah. I didn't watch a 17-hour debate on Lex Friedman about Israel.
My bad.
Where some fucking goy is popping off about my shit.
No,
I don't want to go into the substantive review of that debate.
Not. Yeah.
But I did think it was kind of funny. Mr. Benelli, he was saying your last name wrong on purpose.
Yeah, over and
it's
over.
Kind of alpha.
It was hilarious.
Mr. Benelli.
Believe me, I'm a lot more literate than you, Mr. Borelli.
I'm going to believe the guy that wrote
you
the
read
stuff.
what Wikipedia said.
That's great.
I don't spend my nights on Wikipedia. I read books. I admit that as a signal.
Waste of time.
Yeah, I know books are a waste of time. I'm going to ask you again.
Genocide. Yes.
Please stop displaying your imbecility.
Okay, I'm sorry you think the Declaration of the God is imbecility.
Don't put on public display that you're a moron. At least have the self-possession to shut up.
True.
You are, what do you say, fantastic moron.
Mr. Benelli, I've been told by reliable sources that you let your woman fornicate with another man.
Yeah, right. He should have brought
and
that
you
up.
tolerated that behavior. I don't see how this qualifies you to speak on the Palestine issue, except that very much like the Palestinian people, you're getting screwed.
As a lifelong bachelor, far be it from me to judge, but it was seem to reflect on your character. Such a
Dude, he kind of did cook your ass there a little bit, no?
You
should have like dapped him for that. You should have been like, that's bars.
Should I?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
You agreed to talk to them, but why you held back? Because what?
Because I think if you push somebody too much on like a core fundamental issue, then they don't want to talk to you.
So you
they don't
felt
wanna...
compelled to yell at Norman Finkelstein, who's passionate about the subject and studied it his whole life, but build a bridge with Ben Shapiro.
Studied in big quotes there. But I shut up. I was super polite the whole time. He was the one that was making fun of me the whole time. In my mind, in my stupid, naive mind, this could be one of the coolest conversations ever on this topic, because Lex is a huge platform. Benny Morris is one of the most preeminent, has gone through the original archives more than ever. Wayne Rabbani, he knows a lot of stuff, and then you Palestinian scholar, and then you've got Norm Finkelstein, who's one of the most quoted Western, kind of pop historian types on Israel-Palestine. Yeah. And I'm there to add some flair. This will be really cool. But after the first 2 hours, I don't remember if Lex has this on tape or not, or if he cut it, but Benny and Lex are telling me, they're bro, you got to go way harder. This guy's clowning on you. And I'm really?
Yeah. Well, it's because you were there that he clowned on you. Norm is an academic. Norm realized how out of place you were at the debate, which is why he decided really not to take the debate all that seriously. He decided to just dunk on you the whole time. And I do have to say, I watched that entire debate. And he says 2 hours. It was really more like 3.5. Norm was fairly reserved. He got a few digs in the early hours, but it wasn't until the 3.5 hour mark that he just kind of lost patience. And that's where most of those greatest hits come from.
Okay. He just basically answered it himself. You have people like Destiny who, as Norm pointed out in his hilarious way, really don't know anything. They've just read Wikipedia stuff. They're podcasters. They're just, this is a guy who, is very much in this world of kind of weird reality TV. Your wife is sleeping with another guy, and that's a big part of how he came to prominence, that story. And then you're trying to debate people on these very significant subjects, and you're surrounded by three very significant scholars in the field. Right. You don't belong there. A guy like Norm, you could be there as an interviewer, right, but not as a person with a worthy opinion to be in that kind of a debate with these figures. Of course, a guy like Norm is going to react that way. I mean, Norm, look, I love him. Norm's a little bit of a snob to begin with. The first time that we interviewed him, no matter how many times we quoted his own book, yes, well, if you had read it, and we'd be like, yeah, and on page, he just was hung up on that.
You read 2 pages of my book.
He just would not accept that we actually cared enough to read the books before we interviewed him. Yeah. So he's like that. He was nicer to us after that. That was the first meeting. But yeah, I mean, he's like that anyway. So
I busted his balls a bit. I put up on the slideshow. All right, so here's one of the 3 pages I did read. And he laughed. He's a good sport. I mean, he's a good guy. He's not like a snob in a bad way, but he's an academic. He's an egghead. He's an intellectual.
Right. And he definitely.
And we are in Destiny's class. I'm not more of an intellectual than him.
Sure.
Destiny is basically me with shittier politics and a less faithful wife. I mean, that's basically who he is.
Yeah, we're not trying. They split up now. I'm not sitting down and saying, let me go debate Norm Finkelstein.
Right.
I wouldn't debate people who are academic experts in a subject unless I was just obsessively into it. Anyway, just because I would feel like I'm not going to serve my cause well.
Right.
Because they're going to bring up sources and notes that I haven't spent my entire life focused on one subject that way. I'm going to look stupid. And even if I'm right, it's not going to help the cause. What kind of ego do you have to sit in a room with 3 guys like that and be surprised that you don't belong there?
Right. Exactly.
And you got to open up on this guy.
But it's just so
then I start going a little bit.
So divorced from people dying in a war.
But that was Norm's fault, though. No. This is very frustrating.
Can I just explain? No.
Hold on.
Shut the fuck up.
No.
Actually,
Listen.
I'm not going to debate you on this.
Roll the clip of Norm going on Brianna Joy Gray's show, and then Norm is like, when I went there, I was just going to laugh at him the whole time. And that was his whole plan.
I think that you're prioritizing the wrong.
My priority is to have a good conversation.
Brianna Joy Gray's show. I mean, can you not, in an empathetic sense, understand that we were people that got dispossessed, killed, told that no one wants us, and then we see the Palestinians be people that were dispossessed, no one wants them, and we connect that to our, like, what we were told about our own history. And I think that it is...
That might be people like that. It's not Norm Finkelstein, though.
It is... His parents were in the fucking Holocaust,
Yeah, but
bro.
he's a fucking... He hasn't studied or read any of this shit. He doesn't know anything about what the fuck he's talking about. You're trying to give me this whole emotional spiel.
It's a war where people are dying.
He should have treated the conversation with the seriousness that that demands.
What was he doing, bits?
Yeah, the whole thing was a bit for
Don
him.
Rickles?
Yeah, the whole thing was a bit. There was a time where Muin Rabani, he was trying to talk, and Norm was like, whoa, 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 and then Muin is literally like trying to hold him back. He's like, let me do, and he's like, yeah, this is literally happening. One of the times we go on break, Finkelstein gets up, and I think I mentioned something. I say something to him like, it was something. I was like, hey, why do you guys do this? And he looks at me, he's like, Mr. Bonnell. He said my name flawlessly when he thought the camera was off. I'm like, you motherfucker.
He said my name flawlessly when he knew the cameras were off. And when he's on camera, Mr. Borelli, Mr. Benelli. Yeah, no, I mean, he made the decision to just dunk on him for fun. He didn't take Destiny seriously. Like, that's what Destiny doesn't understand. It's like, you didn't deserve to be taken seriously. And, the other guy, what's his name? Muid, Norm's debate partner, who was very good in the debate. He showed you a level of grace that Norm didn't, because that's not the kind of guy. That's not the kind of guy Norm is. If he doesn't think he belongs
he does not
in a
suffer
conversation
fools gladly.
with you, then yeah, he will just gladly sink to your level and kick you in the teeth, which is what he did. And it's funny how Destiny is still bitter about that. Yeah,
I guess it's like a Vosh thing too. Why are these guys big? Like, why do they have an audience? I don't understand it.
Yeah,
why?
It's very strange.
Why
very
would somebody
strange.
watch Destiny? He is the figure and form of deeply unserious. Why would you watch that?
I mean, how could you say he doesn't know what he's talking about?
I could
on the issue?
understand watching him to see him humiliated by his wife getting railed.
Right.
But why would you watch him to hear him talk about Palestine? I don't get it.
It's very, very strange. It's very strange. And how you can say that Norm Finkelstein doesn't know what he's talking about on the issue. The guy is, I mean, you could
he hasn't
say,
read. He hasn't read.
Well, not only has he not read, I mean, the guy has basically devoted his life to the
That's
issue.
what he said in the clip.
Yeah,
That's what
what I'm saying is Norm has basically given his life to the issue. I mean, he and sacrificed tremendously for this issue to know as much as he does and to speak as much as he does. That's why, like, I think from October 7th through, like, he had a streak. I forget exactly what it was, but like he was on the air for like over a month straight without a day off after that. Because people just wanted to pick his brain about it, and they knew that he was the source to go to. So, I mean, how could you say he doesn't know what he's talking about? It's just incredible. But still bitter about that, obviously. Well, here's another clip of the Destiny Adam Friedland show where they get into a little bit of Israel-Palestine debate. And we actually showed a clip of the Adam Friedland show where Adam was talking about years back when he went to the West Bank and realized that this was an injustice going on. So his politics on this are pretty good. But here's a pretty telling conversation to see where each of these guys are coming from.
I'm saying that they don't have political sovereignty.
That's true.
And they are occupied by people that do.
That's true. But then the question is, what does the resolution to that look like?
Anytime the fucking prime minister is about to go to jail, then he has to fuck up some Palestinians. That's the resolution.
I haven't heard a resolution.
My grandma lives in Cape Town, bro.
Jesus.
She didn't have to move because black people got to vote.
What does it have to do with...
You can end an apartheid.
Yeah. Do you think that if Jews lived as a minority...
I do right now.
Do you think that you live in a minority state where the majority are Arabs?
I'm a minority in America.
Are the majority here Arabs? Do you think that you would face the same pressure here
what is it? What's the difference? I'm saying it's a country where people vote.
Okay.
Right?
My top line complaint actually is I actually feel like no foreigner should ever talk about Israel-Palestine.
See, it's funny how he just jumps off of that point.
So why is he talking about it?
Well, it's funny how he jumps off of that point, because ultimately what this all boils down to, and this is what I've said, throughout, it all boils down to just racism, just anti-Arab racism. That is what it is at the end of the day. Like, you can't defend Zionism against someone who knows what they're talking about without eventually being checkmated and exposing yourself as an anti-Arab racist. He says, well, what if you existed as a Jew as a minority? And he says, I am a Jew as a minority. I live in America. I'm a minority here. He's like, well, what if the majority were Arab? And he says, well, what's the difference? If it's a voting democracy and we view all people as the same, then if I'm a minority in a majority Christian country or a majority, Muslim country, Arab, what's the difference? There's nothing they could say to that because obviously,
you know what?
The
I
sticking
don't think
point
foreigners
is
should
Arabs
comment
are
on
less
it.
than.
Well,
Right,
but
exactly.
you do.
That's it.
But you
well,
do.
then you go to, and I don't think anybody should be talking about this. So then why'd you volunteer for a 5-hour debate with Norm Finkelstein?
Right, exactly.
And what are you debating it for?
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, why does anyone take Destiny seriously? That's what I don't get. Like, why? Who the fuck is this guy?
Right.
Who is he? Who is he to even be talking about this? To be taking these kinds of positions? He clearly doesn't know anything about the subject. And hey, most people don't. Most people don't. We've been propagandized with this image of the Arab world as just savage barbarians. And that is what underlies it. Now, people like Destiny, who probably consider themselves good liberals, they can't just come out and say that. They can't even really say Islamo-fascism like Tulsi will, right? So you just have to duck that whole subject.
Right, exactly. All right, there's a little bit more of this here.
They should have Gaza Germany. We had beef with them, no?
They should have Gaza Germany.
I don't know how that would have worked, but maybe they should have. It's like people complaining about past wrongs. I can understand that. I'm sympathetic towards that, but that doesn't get you any closer to what does the resolution look like? And if you just
okay, the whole basis of the genocide and the Nakba and the ethnic cleansing that created the state of Israel is all we're justified in doing this because of past wrongs.
Right.
That's the whole rationale for the existence of this state. And it continues to be the rationale for its existence.
That's a good point. Yes.
Say, well, one state
created as a resolution of past wrongs in their view. Yes.
Right. And that is how they deflect from every accusation of genocide, of human rights violations. Well, the Holocaust.
Right.
Wow, man. You really, 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 really have to abuse that for people's sympathies to have been worn out on that subject, which I think at this point they have. I think at this point people don't even listen anymore for good reason.
That I'm sympathetic towards that, but that doesn't get you any closer to what does the resolution look like? And if you just say, well, one state,
the resolution is that everyone can vote in a country.
Okay, I don't think Jewish people are ever going for that. And I think understandably so.
Demographic study
understandably
of what people lost. Reparations for what they lost.
Do you think
Truth and Reconciliation Commission and one man one vote?
Do you think that for the Jews that left all the surrounding Arab states, do you think they should all pay reparations as well?
What?
Do you think all the surrounding Arab states should pay reparations to all the Jews that fled as well?
I mean, I guess so. Jews got fucking reparations for the Holocaust.
Yeah, but not from all the surrounding Arab states.
You started reading a book in October. Now you think you're fucking William Shakespeare. That's the.
Oh, funny stuff. I recommend you check that interview out. It's about 4 minutes long. But yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, there's just no arguing with people who just have it in their mind.
Well, and he's not even
Israeli
Jewish,
Jews
right?
should not. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. It certainly doesn't read that way to me. But saying I don't think Jewish people will ever go for that, and I understand that. I mean, this is just, you're arguing for Jim Crow. You're arguing for segregation. You're arguing for separate but equal at best. I mean, it's so transparent. And the thing about Destiny is he considers himself a liberal. Like, it's one thing if you're an arch conservative and you don't think the civil rights movement was that great an idea either. Like, at least that shows a modicum of consistency. I mean, you're a dirtbag, but whatever. At least it's an ethos. At least it's an ethos. How you can call yourself any kind of liberal and say what he's saying there is just mind-boggling. It's just mind-boggling. And that's why I said, as soon as this happened, I said this is going to be like arguing Atticus Finch's case in Georgia. Like, it's just like you're talking to a wall. You're talking to people who are just incapable of transcending their own prejudice, their own racism. It's talking to a wall. They're immovable in their hatred of Arabs, and that's the problem.
Yes, there are two basic assumptions you need to support Zionism. One, you have to have this very woke notion that Jews are a protected class, deserving of special protection and special rights that are not accorded to non-Jewish people. And you also have to have the assumption that Arabs are a monstrous, barbaric race that cannot be trusted to live in a post-apartheid state peacefully with Jews. And as long as you believe those two things, yeah, you can go out and argue this point of view that these same people would never argue in any other circumstance. You're essentially arguing that apartheid South Africa should never have ended,
right?
Or it should have been resolved in a two-state solution, the blacks and whites living separately. But because of the Holocaust, because of the propaganda, they're able to obscure that that's exactly what they're arguing. But post October 7th, more and more people are seeing through it. I would argue the majority of people are seeing through it now.
Yeah, I would absolutely. And that is just indicative of that kind of conversation. But I recommend that you guys all check that out in full. You're not getting the sound?
Oh, no.
I just hit the 1999 sound drop. That's what that was.
Okay.
Oh, so you're not getting the sound drops?
I'm not getting it. And then
That's
by the
very
time
weird.
I realized it, I couldn't reload because I'd already put all my exhibits in.
Okay, that is very
was
strange.
too
Yeah,
late.
that's another instance where you didn't know what the hell was going on. Like, what's he doing?
Yeah. I was like, all right, it's his birthday. I don't know. He can do what
It's
he
his
wants.
birthday. Do like a Mitch McConnell freeze there. Yeah, just at the microphone. I guess he just stopped. Kyle Matavsik, thank you, Kyle, for the $5. Hey guys, love to interview you two for my show. Let me know how I can get in touch. Just shoot us an email, dudissidents@gmail.com. That's how you get in touch with us there. So dudissidents@gmail. That goes right to us. Okay. Now Kuznetsky Bassane, thanks for the $4.99. The CIA has established a joint false flag with the Martians. There you go. That's an explanation. Michael Castillo, thanks for the $10. Russell Dobular, you could have been a liberal version of Alex Jones and got paid by the Onion to do sketch comedy. There you go. That would have been fun. Yes. Buon compleanno, Keaton. Thank you, Giovanni Polidori. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Michael Castillo again. Where's Michael Castillo again? Says, Russell, where'd you get that Snake Plissken shirt?
All right. So there's a really good site, redbubble.com, that sells a lot of cool shirts like this.
Nice. Teresa Nino Oliva, thanks for the $20. Feliz cumpleaños, Keaton. Cumpleaños, Keaton. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate that. Getting some multilingual birthday wishes here. Steve Bertman, studied in big quotes there. This is the funniest quote ever. Yes, that was his. Yeah, studied in big quotes there. Like he didn't actually study Israel Palestine. Yeah, exactly. All right, folks. Let's take a quick game break here and try and move some coffee for our friends over at Rumble. Hey, do you enjoy the free speech that Rumble is protecting and fighting for? Well, our show is only possible thanks to our viewers supporting Rumble's platform by purchasing Rumble's products. So most of you guys drink coffee every day. That's why you got to try Rumble's 1775 coffee. Some of the best coffee out there and at the same price as the coffee you buy now, but it's way better. Rumble's 1775 coffee is free from chemicals yet rich in flavor, and this is because their beans are sourced from high-altitude farms in Bolivia, hand-picked, roasted weekly at their facility in Miami, and delivered fresh to your doorstep. And as believers in freedom, buying from Rumble helps fight back against censorious corporations like Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts. Join the coffee revolution and brew rebellion with Rumble's 1775 coffee. So go to 1775coffee.com, use coupon code STUDIO, and get a free month supply of their cognitive boosting supplement, Limitless, when you buy 2 bags of their coffee. That's a crazy deal. The supplement's worth more than the coffee itself. So go to 1775coffee.com and try their amazing coffee, which comes well reviewed from those of you dissidents who have bought it. Reviews are fantastic for the 1775 coffee. All righty. There we go. All right. What else we got? We got some Rumble rants probably here. Thanks to Jake in the booth for fielding these. Appreciate that, my friend. Cool Blue, thanks for the $10. Happy birthday, Keaton. Thank you very much. Cool Blue, appreciate that. Furrow's Queen Fire Dancer says, what the fuck is wrong with everyone in these drones? Jesus Christ, it's obvious. It's December. Santa's naughty list is too long to manage in normal ways, so he's keeping an eye live. Happy birthday. Thank you. That's a good theory, too. Appreciate that. Nujoma, what could it be except government military? Looks too boring to be alien. Yeah, well, I tweeted out a little cute one-liner. I said, if aliens were smart enough to reach this planet, they would not set up shop in New Jersey. They'd find someplace nicer than that. You know, if you're smart enough to develop that technology, you got a little bit more sophisticated taste than the Jersey Shore. In the wintertime, too. Jersey Shore in wintertime, hard.
Yeah, they might go for the scungil.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Finished my rewatch of Lost last night, says Killer Hinton. The ending is not as bad as I remembered. Would have been cool, though, if the smoke monster was Amelia Earhart. There you go. Thank you, Killer Hinton. Appreciate that.
You're never going to convince me of that.
Yeah, I never got into it.
Fucking trite ecumenicalism.
All right, where are we at here? Okay, so we got, Donald Trump threatening to bomb Iran. That's a fun one. Go ahead.
Yes. So Peacenik, Donald J. Trump, very much in keeping with his first term as president, was saying this on the campaign trail. Michael Tracy pointed this out. It's about a month before the election. Trump says Israel should hit Iran's nuclear facilities. Yet another bold anti-war statement on his part. A terrifying blow to the deep state and military-industrial complex. So let's see what he said in his stand-up act.
So what do you think about Iran? Would you hit Iran? And he goes, as long as they don't hit the nuclear stuff. That's the thing you want to hit, right? I said, I think he's got that one wrong. Isn't that the one you're supposed to hit? I mean, it's the biggest risk we have. Nuclear weapons, the power of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. You know, I rebuilt the entire military, jets, everything. I built it, including nuclear, and I hated to build the nuclear, but I got to know firsthand the power of that stuff, and I'll tell you what, we have to be totally prepared. We have to be absolutely prepared. But when they asked him that question, the answer should have been, hit the nuclear first and worry about the rest later. And that's what they should. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it. But we'll find out whatever their plans are. But great question. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin.
We're going to make a big nuclear fallout zone. People are saying nobody's ever seen nuclear fallout like this.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. I have to say, he's keeping his campaign promises. Turns out 4D chess was not his game. He meant what he said. Trump team weighs options, including airstrikes, to stop Iran's nuclear program. President-elect Donald Trump is weighing options for stopping Iran from being able to build a nuclear weapon, including the possibility of preventive airstrikes, a move that would break with the long-standing policy of containing Tehran with diplomacy and sanctions. The military strike option against nuclear facilities is now under more serious review by some members of his transition team who are weighing the fall of the regime of President Bashar al-Assad, Tehran's ally in Syria, the future of U.S. troops in the region, and Israel's decimation of regime proxy militias Hezbollah and Hamas. In a related note, side note here, Israel just announced, as if people didn't already know, that they are going to expand their Golan Heights settlements as part of their move into Syrian territory. Iran's weakened regional position and recent revelations of Tehran's burgeoning nuclear work have turbocharged sensitive internal discussions, transition officials said.
Well, just while we're paused, this quote-unquote government in Syria, this so-called government they're forming over there, is going to let Israel take more land. That's why it's there.
Right.
That's why it's there.
Exactly. That's why they're not getting whacked right now.
Yeah.
Trump has told Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in recent calls that he is concerned about an Iranian nuclear breakout on his watch, two people familiar with their conversation said, signaling he is looking for proposals to prevent that outcome. The president-elect wants plans that stop short of igniting a new war, particularly one that could pull in the U.S. military, as strikes on Tehran's nuclear facilities have the potential to put the U.S. and Iran on a collision course. Iran has enough highly enriched uranium alone to build 4 nuclear bombs, making it the only non-nuclear weapon country to be producing 60% near weapons-grade fissile material. It would take just a few days to convert that stockpile into weapons-grade nuclear fuel. U.S. officials have previously said it could take Iran several months to field a nuclear weapon. The president-elect's transition team is devising what it calls a maximum pressure 2.0 strategy against the regime. People familiar with the planning said the sequel to his first-term approach centering on strict economic sanctions. If you liked the bloated military budget in the original, you won't believe what's coming next. This time, the president-elect and his aides are fleshing out military steps that could be central to its anti-Tehran campaign, though still paired with tighter financial penalties. 2 broad options have come up in discussions, including in some talks that have taken place with Trump, 4 people familiar with the planning said. One path, described by 2 people familiar with the plan, involves augmenting military pressure by sending more U.S. forces, warplanes, and ships to the Middle East. The U.S. could also sell advanced weapons to Israel, such as bunker-busting bombs, strengthening its offensive firepower to take Iranian nuclear facilities offline. The threat of military force, especially if paired with U.S.-imposed sanctions that manage to cripple Iran's economy, may convince Tehran that there is no choice but to diplomatically resolve the crisis. The alternative path is to seek the use the threat of military force, especially if paired with U.S.-imposed sanctions, to drive Tehran into accepting a diplomatic resolution. That is the strategy Trump employed with North Korea in his first term, although the diplomacy eventually faltered. Well, you know, there's a likely reason that you can't convince Kim to give up his weapons, and it's the same reason that Iran is not likely to give up their weapons. There was a case where somebody that we had a lot of tensions with agreed to give up his weapons in exchange for normalized relations and lifting of sanctions. His name was Muammar Gaddafi. He was the leader of Libya. This was back in 2003. How'd that work out for him? Oh, here's a video of Gaddafi, we're not showing it, being sodomized with a sharp object, in case you are wondering whether Kim Jong-un is interested in Bolton's proposal for a Libya-style nuclear deal. You might remember our illustrious Secretary of State had a rather infamous reaction to Muammar Gaddafi being sodomized with a knife.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died. Did it have anything to do with your visit? No, I'm sure it did.
Yeah, she was real happy about that. So, yeah, I don't think Tehran's going to be giving up their nuclear program anytime soon. It isn't clear which option Trump, who has talked about avoiding a third world war and brokering deals with Tehran, would choose. While Trump has insisted that he seeks to avoid massive escalation in the Middle East, he told Time in an interview published Thursday that there is a chance the U.S. could go to war with Iran, partly because Tehran plotted to assassinate him. Crucially, Trump rarely delves into details about foreign policy matters until he is presented with finalized options and a decision needs to be made, former Trump administration officials say. Iran's United Nations mission didn't respond to requests for comment. Leaders in Tehran have long denied that they seek to acquire a nuclear weapon. The Israeli government also didn't respond to requests for comment about whether it would preemptively attack Iran during the Trump administration. But in November, after holding 3 calls with Trump, Netanyahu said he and Trump see eye to eye on the Iranian threat and all its components and the danger posed by it. Trump weighed the idea of preemptive strikes on Iran's nuclear program toward the end of his first term, former officials said, shortly after international inspectors revealed Iran's stockpile of nuclear material had grown. But Trump, after he left office, has since disputed he ever considered military action seriously, claiming senior defense aides developed war plans and pushed him to authorize a strike. It's what they call inside the CIA pulling a bay of pigs.
Right.
Trump aides and confidants supporting military options for his second term said the main idea would be to support Israeli strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities like Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan, and even potentially have the U.S. participate in a joint operation. Many current and former Israeli officials say there are huge uncertainties of how successful Israel would be in mounting a solo attack on Iran's nuclear facilities, some of which are buried deep underground. Still, some of Trump's allies insist his first months back in office present him with the rare opportunity to counter Iran's nuclear buildup while the regime is in a weakened position. Now, Trump, I have always said, I truly believe that Trump doesn't like war. I think he finds it wasteful. I think that not being bred to politics, he's uncomfortable with being responsible for that level of death, maiming, and dismemberment. I think there's a big difference between New York real estate scumbaggery and the kind of scumbaggery expected from the leader of the United States. I think he does try to avoid that kind of thing, but I also think he's very lazy, and I think he's easily led by the people around him. So here, he did an interview with Patrick Bet-David, where I think this shows his basic instinct that, hey, I don't want to really get into trying to reshape Iran. And I think he genuinely feels that way. I don't know how much choice he's going to be given.
What's going to happen to Iran with you by the end of your administration? I'm not asking
I would like to
tactics,
see Iran be very successful. The only thing is they can't have a nuclear weapon.
Are you okay with the same administration and way of governing stays, or would you like to see it go back to the 70s when Shah's was running it and Iran was one of the top 3 countries in tourism?
Yeah, we can't get totally involved in all. You know, I mean,
Right.
we can't run ourselves. Let's face it.
Sure.
Patrick, we can't run
You
ourselves.
put sanctions, that's going to, they don't have, the people are going to turn and flip on them. It's not going to be a...
Okay. Now, one possibility, if you did have regime change that nobody's really talking about, there is a rather large and wealthy and powerful monarchist movement within the Iranian expat community that most of us who are not members of that community would not be aware of. But hey, sour for Trump. Do you think the Tehran regime should be overthrown and the Pahlavi monarchy restored in Iran? And this is the heir to the Pahlavi throne. Neo Berg, which is a pretty big account. If you see, it's got 166,000 views. It's 2028, and President Donald Trump is on a state visit to the newly liberated Iran, warmly greeted by His Majesty Reza Shah II. This scenario is far more likely than you think. And here's something with the hashtag King Reza Pahlavi, comparing how much better things would be under the Shah than it is under the current regime.
So go one slide back. So that's an AI rendering, obviously.
That's AI.
That's pretty good.
Of course, yeah.
That's not bad.
It's pretty good. Hey, as I discovered when I did my Slapshot video, this stuff is pretty advanced at this point. It even picked up on the painting style for Hillary Clinton on my Dorian Gray joke. But yes, hey, that I don't think is a really crazy proposition. We love dealing with monarchs and dictators. That's why we've propped up and created and installed so many of them. It's much better than democracy. Democracy, they might vote against your corporate interests. With a dictator, you're dealing with one person who you can threaten, right? It's very easy. Hey, maybe you agree to let us put this base here, and you keep breathing. How about it? Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, going back to the past, Pinochet. We love these dictators. So is this a completely crazy proposition? Not with this crew. Not with this crew. Hey, this is what the Iranian community wants. They want a restoration of their royal family. That's what they'll say. This is what the Iranians are demanding.
Yeah, I mean, it's I can't even bother really speculating at this point. Like you said, Trump seems to talk as though he's hesitant to pull that trigger. But then again, the forces around him are not the kind of people who like taking no for an answer. And he's not the kind of guy who ultimately, I mean, as crazy as this sounds, when push comes to shove, he's more conflict averse than people know him for. And I know that sounds very strange because people know him as this very hostile brawler and fighter, and he definitely has a resilience about him. You can't take that away from him, given everything put in his way on this path to the second term. But, also, striking their nuclear facilities now, I mean, that would always hit hard, but especially now. I mean, this is the thing. Heading into the Trump term, too, you're talking about a completely different world. This is not 2017 anymore. Now you have Israel on the march, right? The wheels are in motion, especially now. I mean, we're talking about, we did the segment last week or on Thursday where Massey said the timing is not a coincidence, the toppling of the Syrian government.
Also, you did that piece with the Wesley Clark list. I keep thinking of that.
Well,
Iran is the last country on the list.
Well, obviously, yeah. I mean, if you zoom out, they obviously have plans to do this, and they're not going to stop until it's done. The question is, will they try to execute that within these 4 years? And I think what's going to make that very difficult is the fact that you have Israel on the march, and you have a very, very heightened axis on the other side. They I think can understand what's coming. They understand what the move is now. That's really why the Ukraine war happened, is because I think there is an understanding that this is a showdown that's been really, I mean, in the works, since the fall of the Soviet Union, and then obviously on the Middle Eastern front since 9/11. I would argue since before 9/11. i.e. since the fall of the Soviet Union. I mean, that's when these Project for New American Century documents started being drawn up.
The New World Order.
After the end of history, right? So 9/11 was the sort of inciting incident, but what happens in a movie? The inciting incident doesn't happen in the first minute. The inciting incident happens after 20 minutes of exposition, and that's sort of what 9/11 was. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it is all part of the same plan. I don't think they're going to stop until they get the war with Iran that they've obviously wanted. The question is, can they get that done under Donald Trump in his second term? And I think the moves being made now are moves to make it harder and harder for him to back out of it.
I agree. And that's why I say emphatically, yes, they're going to do it during this Trump term. I would be very surprised if they don't take military action against Iran during this term, and sooner rather than later.
Yeah, which is not good. Believe me, not good. Because the other question you have to ask yourself too is, well, what comes after this Trump term? Because we know he's only one term. So depending on how things go, do you get Trump's ideological successor in there, which we assume is going to be Vance at this point? Well, you never know for sure, but that's a safe assumption to make. Or does Trump fuck it up so bad that you get one of the Democrats back in? Right. And which Democrat is that? So there is a lot of uncertainty right now. They have Trump in there, who's $100 million indebted to Miriam Adelson. If past his prologue, he's going to do more or less what she wants. I don't think she gave him all this money just to flatter her with cabinet appointments. He's going to have to put some meat on those bones, and this could be it.
It doesn't matter if you have Democrats or Republicans. In the end, it all leads to the same place. It all leads to the same corporatism, the same imperialism, the same militarism. The Democrats will talk about how these companies are funding microloans in Africa. The Trump people will talk about how they're fighting DEI. But in the end, they're all just corralling you back into the same agenda. It really makes absolutely no difference who's in charge regarding international policy.
Let's see here. Where do we got? What happened here? Okay. Alex Das Lieb, thanks for the $4.99. I just realized I've been confusing Destiny's Child with the YouTuber. Why is Destiny's Child debating Norm Finkelstein? Thank you, Alex Das Lieb. Cat Moose, thank you for the $5. Destiny admits that he doesn't like Arabs. Keep in mind he has admitted this former... Oh, that his former betrothed was getting stooped by an Arab streamer. Was it an Arab? Was it an Arab? I didn't know that. An Arab? I did not know that. Yeah, that was did a double take there. Happy birthday, Keaton, says Sparky. Thank you, Sparky, my friend. Appreciate that. By the way, Atticus Finch's case was in Alabama, not Georgia. Was it Alabama? I thought it was Georgia. I thought To Kill a Mockingbird was Macon, Georgia. Was it Macon, Alabama? Maybe, yeah, could be. You could be right, Sparky. Brad Gilbert, thanks for the $2. Destiny is the Malcolm X white liberal fox. Thank you. La Senora Shamanique, thank you for the $1.99. Hello, I am Shamanique Boutron. Love it. Thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Black Spock Wharf. Glad Martin Sheen is the narrator for the film. Second cooler. Yeah, Martin Sheen narrated that film. That film won several awards. It got out there quite a bit, and now it's available for free on YouTube, and we're going to be screening it tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Moose World, thanks for the $1.99. Any materialization on the Jake Shields interview? Yeah, Russell volunteered, but we haven't heard anything back. Russell volunteered.
I did, yeah. We haven't heard anything. You saw that, huh? I forgot to mention that to you.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, I sent you some stuff. Black Spock Wharf, thanks for the $2. But no, we haven't heard anything back. Landrew, thanks for the $100. Let's have a sound drop for Landrew and a cowbell for Landrew. Appreciate that. Norman is a kind, loving, and caring heart besides being brilliant. How can I make sure you both get to work or strike back? Happy birthday, Keaton. Free Palestine. Thank you, Landrew. Yeah, we have to start fundraising for that.
We got to get it together, man.
Yeah.
We got I want to go cover the Trump inauguration. Those are the first things on the docket. The Trump inauguration, worker strike back, obviously, is the major thing.
Yeah.
And then we go forward from there.
So, yeah, we will.
Landrew is dead.
We will have a list of items that we're fundraising for. Probably by the next Sunday show, we'll get that formalized with the graphic and everything. So we'll let you guys know how the money will be spent. But thank you, Landrew. I appreciate that very much. Says happy birthday, Keaton, and free Palestine. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Meteor Dreams, thanks for the $1.99. Hey, it's been a while, Meteor Dreams. Haven't seen you in a while. I'm also a Decemberian. I turned 34 on December 24th. Middle age. You're not middle age. You're still a spring chicken there, 34. December 24th, Christmas Eve, baby. Beautiful. Thank you, Meteor Dreams. Appreciate that. All right, let's go over to some Rumble rants. Ricky Gervais says, I figured out the end of Lost. The fat one ate them all. Yeah, I heard that joke. Yes. Did you hear Chris Rock's Saturday Night Live monologue? It was pretty good. I saw some pieces of it. I saw some clips of it. We would cover that, but Saturday Night Live will just take it down on YouTube. Like they'll just take it down. Yeah. Like when we showed the Chappelle Saturday Night Live monologue, they took the whole stream down. Yeah, so you can't do it.
Did they?
He was talking about how, he had one joke that was funny. He says, act like Trump is such an affront to the decency of the presidency. We're talking about the presidency. We're talking about the American presidency. He says, we've had presidents take their pregnant slaves to their inauguration. He says, and I'm just talking about Bill Clinton. So, yeah, it was a great monologue. He's good, man. That guy's still got it. That guy's one of the greats. I love Chris Rock's stuff. I wish we could show that. That'd be worth doing a segment on, but forget it. YouTube, they can't. SNL real bastards about it. The mysterious find is from the Whaling Corporation. Destiny is also likely a product of the Whaling Corp with a serial code on him somewhere. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. K. Martini, Richie April, Finkelstein just told you to shut the fuck up and told me to go fuck myself. Yeah, remember that scene out in the rain. So many memorable scenes from that show. You know, the interview that we're going to be, the Rogan piece that the CNN people had a little mini meltdown over was his interview with Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avery. They have their Video Archives podcast because they were friends at the video store that they worked at. And, you know, Tarantino, it sucks. You know, he married into Zionism, and he's kind of an apolitical guy who kind of got absorbed into that horrible world.
Like our friend Buck Angel.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Married into it. But, you know, he really is a genius of cinema. And he made a great point. He says, you know, even in the golden age of TV, the thing about a movie is that you can remember the plot points of a movie forever, whereas TV, you remember mostly the characters, and then it's mostly a soap opera. Like you remember, like you pay attention to the goings on of their life week to week, but it's harder to actually remember the arc and plot of a TV series the way you can a movie because it's a contained timeline. But The Sopranos is the exception. The Sopranos, like, you remember beats of that. You remember the arcs of all the characters. You remember everything so well. It is truly cinematic.
You know, I would say, you know, I'm right, you know, right on time. I really got right on top of this while it was hot. So I'm into the final season of Mad Men now. The only reason I was finally persuaded to binge watch it is because I'm reading Varanakis's Techno-Feudalism, and he references Don Draper like every other page.
Oh, really?
So I felt like, no, that was what made me binge watch it, because he's constantly comparing the post-war economy that Don Draper was there to facilitate with the economy we have now and the type of consumerism we have now as compared to that. So finally I was like, okay, I mean, to really understand this book, I guess I have to watch this fucking show. And it is as great as advertised, but that is a show that very much, not only do you have this really interesting and very clear and rich arc for all of the characters, but it also is very conscious of the passage of the 60s. So at the beginning, it's 1960, it's basically still the 50s.
Right.
And by the end, what I think is really insightful, they never say it, but it's just kind of implicit. You see these guys still kind of, the older ones, at that point, older ones, still dressing like they did at the beginning. And you could tell, you know, they probably seem like old guys who are out of touch now. They were the cool thing on Madison Avenue when the show started. They're still in 1969 with a suit and a hat. How does that look now at that time? They're starting to look like the old men. Like, that's how precise that plotting was. It's very, very well done. You would like it, man. I know everyone thinks it's a boring show when they start. That's what I thought. That's why I never watched it.
Right.
Like, if you stick with it, it's definitely a rewarding viewing experience.
All right. Bonzo Beans, ketogenic Berts are the best Berts. Thank you, Bonzo Beans. Because thanks for the $10. Happy birthday, Keaton. Same birthday as Nero. Break out the fiddle. Thank you, because I did not know that. Thank you. I think I share.
This is Nero's birthday.
I think I have Beethoven's birthday.
Did they had a completely different calendar then? Are we sure that it's Nero's birthday?
We'll see. I don't know. I never heard that. I think Beethoven is the 15th. I'm pretty sure it's Beethoven's birthday. SB says Destiny is like most Israel supporters is a creep. Look up what Pixie got from the fact that he defends Lolly Vosh's Lolly horse collection. Oh, is that right? Did he vouch for him on that? Yeah, they are kind of weirdos. I will grant you that. All right, let's move along here. We got another segment from Russ, the Israel soldiers.
All right, so Australia, the most based of nations, the nation that gave us such great cultural treasures as Crocodile Dundee and Yahoo Serious, is really stepping up the pressure on Israel. So this was back in July. They made an announcement of sanctions.
We've made this decision because it's the right thing to do. settlements in the West Bank are an impediment to a two-state solution. They are illegal under international law, and the fact that there has been an expansion of settlements over this current period is something that the government has opposed. It's important that we continue to engage. That's not to say that where there are differences of the Australian government with the policies of the Netanyahu government, one of the ways that that can be communicated is by having that presence there as well.
So this is honestly, it is a rare case where Australia is showing some kind of foreign policy independence from the United States. And now they're kicking it up a notch. They are starting to ask IDF soldiers to fill out a visa form asking whether they have committed crimes against humanity. 2 Israeli soldiers have been unable to travel to Australia after being asked to complete an extensive 13-page form typically required for military personnel involved in war, according to the Israeli newspaper Ynet. The siblings, Omer Berger, 24, and Ella Berger, 22, along with 4 other family members, applied for visas 2 months ago. While the rest of the family received quick approval, Omer and Ella were told to complete the lengthy document. The form included questions about their involvement in physical or psychological abuse, their roles as guards or officials in detention facilities, and whether they had participated in war crimes or genocide. This follows a November ruling from the International Criminal Court, which issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant for war crimes and crimes against humanity over atrocities committed since 7th October last year. Ella, who had been granted a week's leave from her military duties, decided to return to Israel after the delays, while Omer, a reservist, remains in Thailand awaiting a resolution. Australia's Department of Home Affairs insisted that no special treatment was given to Israeli citizens amid the ongoing conflict. A spokesperson explained that the additional paperwork is a routine procedure sometimes requested for individual applications, and highlighted that 11,000 Israeli visas had been approved over the past year. Despite providing the requested extensive documentation, Israeli soldiers Omer and Ella Berger received no response from authorities before their scheduled departure. Aaron Berger, a family representative, strongly criticized the delays, suggesting they reflected Australia's increasingly antagonistic approach towards Israel amidst its ongoing war in Gaza. Quote, "Why are we subjecting friendly allies to war crimes investigations?" he said. Well, because you're committing war crimes. That would be the reason. Let me answer. I hope that cleared that up for you.
Yes.
The incident follows a similar case involving the former Israeli Justice Minister Eilat Shaked, who was denied a visa in November over fears of incitement. If you wonder why all these Israeli names sound like Star Wars names, it's because they had to kind of make all this up when they moved from Eastern Europe into the Middle East.
Right.
They didn't start out with names like this. They had to kind of make all this up. The Australian Department of Home Affairs told the former Israeli Justice Minister on Thursday that she had been denied a visa to travel to the country under the Migration Act. The act allows the government to deny entry to individuals likely to, quote, vilify Australians or incite discord within the local community. Speaking to Israeli media, Shaked claimed that her ban was due to her vocal opposition to a Palestinian state. Shaked was forced to cancel her planned appearance at a conference held by an Australian Jewish group. In response, she condemned the Australian government's position, claiming it had taken an, quote, anti-Israeli and extreme pro-Palestinian stance while accusing it of harboring elements of anti-Semitism. These are dark days for Australian democracy, Shaked said. They have chosen to stand on the wrong side of history. No, it seems on this occasion they are very much standing on the right side of history, which is not always the case with Australia. Let's not forget, Australia is the country that gave us Rupert Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch, arguably, and I don't think very arguably, is more responsible than any other individual for turning our public discourse into the cesspool of infotainment that it has become. Now, and I'm not saying that as an exclusive slam on conservative media, although that's his bailiwick. Everyone copied that model, so that now everyone's just trying to gin up rage in a very dedicated audience rather than to try to actually report the news. So let's see how this was reported on Sky News, which is really a channel with an endless litany of anti-woke content.
One family in particular has a terrible story. An Australian Holocaust survivor will celebrate her 100th birthday in a few weeks' time. And she wanted to be surrounded by her children, her grandchildren, and her great-grandchildren. But some
unfortunately,
of them
they commit a genocide. So they can't come in.
And we are signatories to the ICC.
Yes.
in Israel. And 2 family members have not been granted visas to enter Australia because of their military service in the Israeli Defense Force. Again, it's compulsory for all young Israelis. So this Australian Holocaust survivor, her 21-year-old...
As certain people serving in World War II might have said, they were only following orders.
Right, exactly.
Great-granddaughter didn't get a visa and then has had to now go back to the army. Her leave ran out. She may never get to see her great-grandmother again. At 100, you just don't know how much time you have left. Now, the second family member is...
You know who else doesn't know how much time they have left? Children in Gaza.
Right.
Currently stranded in Thailand. He's been there for 2 weeks. The family has been frantically calling Tony...
The horror. He's stranded in Thailand for 2 weeks. God, you know, the people in Gaza are sitting there saying, oh, that must be horrible. Right. It must be horrible sitting in Gaza that way.
Burke's office to no avail for weeks now. They're left
sitting in
Thailand,
limbo. Rather.
So Albanese stands up at the Holocaust Museum to speak about anti-Semitism today, but this is how his government is treating a Holocaust survivor who's an Australian citizen.
As a Holocaust survivor, she should be speaking out more loudly than anybody. Apparently, tragically, she did not learn anything from her horrific experience.
At the very moment, the Albanese...
Okay, so why am I showing you this? Because this is, I think, going to be a running theme, sadly, not only over the next few months, but probably over the next few years. The woke thing and the anti-woke thing have exactly the same objectives. So what does Sky News really do? What do they do? Lefties losing it. Woke DEI, Google's new Christmas ad goes down the rainbow pathway. Sky News Australia host rips into woke idiocy. Child star Charlotte Church has gone woke and broke. Rah! Now, okay, hey, I'm not a wokey. I probably agree with a lot of the points of view in this segment. But the purpose of these segments is not that. That is not the purpose. The purpose of it is to get you to ignore this, or to think that anybody who speaks out about this is one of the lefties losing it. It's the loony left. They're trying desperately to get you to ignore what Israel is doing in Gaza by tying people who care about it to wokeness. So let's see this footage.
ايش اسمك انت؟ يا؟ سعيد. محمد سعيد؟ قديش عمرك؟ 6 سنين. لا حول ولا قوة. الله يحفظك يا رب. عارفين يا اخواني انه هذا الطفل انا اول مره اشوفه صدفه مارق بين الخيام لمحته، اول ما شفته مباشره شغلت الكاميرا قاعد اصور، مصدوم مش عارف شو احكي. هو في ناس هيك؟ يا الله كيف. الله يعوضه يا رب في الدنيا قبل الاخره يا رب، هو واهله يا رب. الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله على كل النعم اللي احنا فيها ومش حاسين فيها ومش مدركين لحتى الان انه احنا احسن من غيرنا وانه احنا في نعمه كبيره، نعمه عظيمه جدا، وانه احنا لازم نشكر ربنا كل يوم، نحمد الله كل يوم على النعم اللي احنا فيها. الحمد لله يا اخوان الحمد لله. ايقنت انه الدنيا هذه ثانيه ومش مستاهله نهائي.
Okay. So that is the purpose of this. And we're seeing this more and more. Look, all these anti-woke warriors, Barry Weiss, Matt Walsh, Mark Andreessen, all these guys, what did they have to say about the CEO slipped on a banana peel? They all came out to rout you into supporting health insurance companies. Same thing here. Same thing here. They are doing segments like this, so you'll swallow segments like this, so you don't think about this. That is the purpose of it.
Yeah, and as for, that's just, as a guy with little guys, it's just, to watch that is just unbelievable. And what a beautiful little kid.
They're not going to show it on Sky News.
Right. And what a beautiful little kid there. You can see he's still even cracking a smile as
it's amazing. It's amazing.
Who knows? Where's that kid's parents? Or is he just roaming around? Like, it's just one of the things we don't even talk about here is just the psychological trauma of this, like what this is going to do to people who survive. It's just
he's so young. I don't even think he completely understands what happened to him.
No, and that's the ultimate evil. That's why to harm a child is the ultimate act of cowardice. They're not old enough to understand what's being done to them. It's like hurting a puppy, or they don't understand cruelty. They don't understand violence in that way. At least they shouldn't. And to force them to reckon with that at such a young age is just an ultimate horror as well. But as for this story, one of the things that's very important here, and this is the other thing, this is very woke about their coverage. They act as if Australia is discriminating against these people for who they are. No, this is about consequences for actions. You are a member of an army that is committing war crimes according to the United Nations and the International Criminal Court. Therefore, you're not welcome on our soil because you are a war criminal, not because you are an Israeli Jew, but because of your actions, because of the actions that you are complicit in. Oh, there was compulsory service. Well, you could say that about several different armies who have committed horrible acts. What do you want from us? What do you want from us? The fact of the matter is, you're committing a genocide. You're not welcome here. It's that simple. It's that simple. There's nothing discriminatory about it. This is about accountability for actions, period.
And I think this is the shape of things to come.
Yeah.
I believe that the war is going to wrap up partly because Trump wants it to, and partly because they've pretty much achieved their objectives at this point. As we've said from the beginning, there's only so long this can go on because they're going to wipe out such a significant portion of the population so quickly with this kind of assault, with this kind of a genocidal campaign. Eventually, it's just going to come to a natural close. And it feels like we're getting there. Hamas is talking about conceding, Israeli troops being stationed in Gaza. I'd be surprised if this isn't over in the next couple months. And then we're into the aftermath. And that is where, as many people say, don't stop talking about Gaza. Don't stop talking about Palestine. That's going to be on people like us and on nations around the world of goodwill to hold Israel accountable, to not stop the boycotts, to continue to raise awareness. Our objective has got to be to make it uncomfortable for Israelis to go anywhere outside of their borders and for it to be impossible for their businesses to do trade outside of their country. That is how you're going to bring down that regime.
Yeah. Yep. Indeed. Sparky, thanks for the $10. Georgia was founded in 1733. A ship of Jews showed up unexpectedly with a skilled doctor just as yellow fever broke out and saved the budding colony. Think it's hard to find a good doctor now. Think 1733. Sparky, thanks for the $10. Any nuke research in Iran is deep in the mountains. Iran can already wipe out Israel's military bases and nukes with conventional missiles. Iran's already shown the Iron Dome is more like the Iron Sieve. Thank you, Sparky. Appreciate that. Eric Suarez, thanks for the $2. Appreciate that. Doctors make bad presidents. Thank you, Eric Suarez. Sparky, some say Syria is folding as a trap. I don't think that it was on purpose, but purposeful or not, Israel may fall for it. They're spread pretty thin. Well, I mean, I think this new government is there to let them take more territory. Like, I don't think they're going to get much resistance. That would be my guess. But thank you, Sparky. Wyatt Starr, thanks for $4.99. Hey, Russ, come and see the Spits the night before workers' strike back in February if you're free. I'll get you a ticket. Love y'all. Thanks, Wyatt Starr.
Well, because I've never actually been to Seattle, I do plan on going, I don't know, probably 5 days before to explore Seattle. So I will be around.
Oh, all right. There you go. All righty. Jake, why don't we hit our scroll for our supporters? Thank you very much, sir. So, folks, hey, I appreciate these generous super chats and the birthday wishes. That's all lovely. If you really want to make my day, become a member. Members are what keep the show going. So you can go to patreon.com/DoDissidents, DoDissidents.substack.com, or you can join our locals. Hit us up over on locals. This is the one we're pushing pretty hard now because they are affiliated with Rumble as a free speech supporter platform. So you can join for $5 a month, or you can get a discount, join for $50, get an annual pass, or you join for the whole year, $50 for the whole year. That's less than $5 per month. And that gets you call-in access to our Sunday night Q&As, which take place after the show every Sunday on Rumble. And hey, tonight's Sunday. We're going to be hanging out for the Q&A later on this evening. You also get exclusive supporter streams with content and call-ins. You get movie club access. We do a movie screening, interactive movie screening with reaction and commentary and calls afterwards. You also get live stream access to our full-length pre-recorded interviews that we do from time to time, a couple times a month, at least 2 to 4 times a month. And you get live stream access to special events. Russ's walking tour, our arts festival coming up in the spring. We did a couple of live shows in New York City over this past summer. So you get all that for just $5 a month or $50 annually at DoDissidents.locals.com. It is your support that is the backbone of the show. We could not do this show without the people on this scroll here, not even close. So if you want to keep us going and propel us into the new year where we have a lot of big plans, we have our own project 2025 that we're cooking up and we'll release for your consumption fairly soon. Go to DoDissidents.locals.com, or if you're on Rumble right now, which 1,600 of you are, click that join button underneath the video player. That takes you right to our locals landing page where you can sign up. Like I said, for as little as $5 a month, it helps us out tremendously. So if you really want to make my birthday, that's the best way. We do appreciate the super chats, but the memberships is really the backbone of the show. So thank you all very much for your support. Cad Moose, thanks for the $5. The clip is out there. Destiny saying he didn't sleep because his broad was getting plowed all night by Nim, who is Middle Eastern. Okay, well, that's ridiculous.
Oh.
A 15-incher is ridiculous that you just gave away. So that's okay. So you're not a credible source of information. I mean, a 15-incher is not. That's not possible.
I mean, it exists. No, it exists.
No, it doesn't. What are you?
Sure,
crazy?
it does.
15?
John Holmes.
15?
I think John Holmes might have been longer than that.
All right. That's fake news. Fake news. Misinformation. 15.
All right.
What are you, crazy? That's not possible. It's not possible.
Sure, it's possible.
Like in the circus, you see 15. But
Holmes's penis was said to be between 12.5 and 16 inches when at its largest.
Okay, but that you're talking about a freak case. I mean, 15. I mean, you're talking
I'm
about.
Saying it exists.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. All right. Well, what else we got here? Where's the Rumble rants? I just have them here. Where are they? Hillary Hinton. Iran will create nuclear weapons just as soon as climate change kills all the polar bears. They're on the same laughably, endlessly receding timetable. What are your thoughts on Hassan? Even he is a brain surgeon compared to Destiny. I enjoy your show. Keep up the good work. Honestly, I really don't watch him at all. I don't think I've ever watched a Hassan clip. I just don't. He's not on my. None of those guys are, and I never watched. I've never seen anything
back.
That Destiny did.
Didn't we cover he started a riot by accident?
No, he didn't start a riot by accident. There was a streamer who started a riot by accident, and I think Hassan defended
and then
him
he covered it. Yeah, I thought we did a segment on him back then. I think that's the only time I ever saw a Hassan video.
Yeah, I never watched him. I don't really watch. I watch our friends. I watch Jimmy. I watch RBN. I watch Kit. I watch Gray Zone when I can. And yeah, that's basically it. Sabby when I can, but basically it. Basically, I watch our friends. I don't have time to watch anything else. So yeah, that's basically my diet. China shell. The government of Iran has a moral obligation and duty to its people to acquire nuclear weapons. It's the only thing that ensures the U.S. keeps its hands off. Thank you, China Shell. All right. Furrow Screen Fire Dancer. I just found Radiohead and spent the day listening to the music. Thought, wow, as if I never heard this. Googled them and found him, meaning Tom York, walk off stage when someone said Free Palestine, dislike now, wasted day.
I heard something about that.
Somebody interrupted his show and he had a fit. Apparently one of the band members is, again, these guys, they marry into it. Look, show business is a trap in that way. A lot of Zionist honeypots walking around out there. You gotta vet these women because apparently Johnny Greenwood, the guitarist of the band, his wife is, I think, Israeli, and so yeah, they have this fucking hang up on that. It's too bad. It is too bad. I'm surprised you hadn't heard of Radiohead, for Screen, because you're like a '90s music fan, right? I mean, yeah. So I'm surprised you hadn't heard of them yet. But yeah, I mean, they're a great band. But yeah, I feel you.
I heard back in the day that if you go do the birthright trip, you're gonna get laid because they're gonna fuck you.
Oh yeah,
and now somebody did like a little documentary about this,
about how they sell the sexuality. Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's like basically they'll get these good-looking Israelis to escort the people on the birthright.
Right. It's a way to make it a more desirable place. Absolutely. That's part of the Hasbara.
That wouldn't have worked on me.
Yeah.
I would have guaranteed I left.
I just bought 2 Snake Plissken shirts. Thank you, Russell Davila. There you go. Michael Castillo. Thanks for the $5.
All right.
Appreciate
You're welcome. Glad to help.
Salamander Fry, thanks for the $10. Says, hey, you guys are all right. You're all right too, Salamander Fry. Appreciate that. All right, folks, we got some more segments to do on the evening. This is a story that was covered, but I don't know. This wasn't covered enough. You talk about a despicable story. Victims shocked after Biden grants clemency to Kids for Cash judge and $54 million embezzler. So, victims of major public corruption cases in Pennsylvania and Illinois are angry that President Joe Biden granted clemency this week to 2 convicted officials. The commutations were announced Thursday as part of a historic clemency package for 1,500 convicted criminals who the White House said deserve a second chance. The 2 convicted officials whose cases sparked outrage, a crooked Pennsylvania judge and a notorious Illinois fraudster, both had already been released from prison early and put on house arrest during the COVID-19 pandemic. Biden's actions now end that punishment. The president has already faced bipartisan criticism over his highly controversial pardon of his son Hunter Biden, who was convicted earlier this year of 12 tax and gun crimes. A Biden administration official told CNN the latest commutations were not individual decisions, and instead it was a uniform decision granted to people who met certain criteria, like having a track record of good behavior while on house arrest.
Cracker ass, cracker, put my foot in the cracker ass, cracker.
Former Pennsylvania judge Michael Conahan was convicted in 2011 in what was infamously called the Kids for Cash scandal, where he took kickbacks from for-profit detention centers in exchange for wrongly sending juveniles to their facilities. The case was widely considered to be one of the worst judicial scandals in Pennsylvania history. Like all of the other nearly 1,500 people who got commutations from Biden this week, Conahan was freed from prison due to COVID. His house arrest was set to end in 2026. You should send him back to jail. Sorry, bitch.
Right.
Pandemic
Yeah. Why is
phase
he
is
in his
over.
house?
The endemic phase is here. Take your fucking jab and get back in the cage. You'll come out when we say. That's all you got to say. The idea
For you, they could put you under house arrest. You wouldn't even notice.
I wouldn't even know. I would enjoy house arrest, actually.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be bad. I would have a
Give you an
perfect excuse not to go anywhere.
Yeah,
Hey, do you want to
there you
go
go.
for lunch tomorrow? I would.
I
House
would.
arrest. Yeah,
I would,
I
but
would. But yeah, I can't.
ankle.
The
Ankle.
fuzz. Yeah, right. Don't catch me. Exactly. I mean, that is unbelievable. Unbelievable. So his sentence was due to end in 2026, which is a year and a half. You can't just, for good optics, let him serve his time. This is one of the most like horrific people you could ever be. I mean, it is like, I'm against the death penalty in principle, so I would not give this guy the death penalty. But if I supported capital punishment, he would be on my list. A guy who fucking takes bribes from prisons and then sends kids into jail because he's getting paid under the table.
He should never get
fucking
out of
do
jail.
that?
He should
No,
be in
that
jail
should be
for
a life sentence.
Like that. That's a fitting punishment.
Yeah, that should be life in prison.
Jail
He
for
shouldn't be
life.
due to get out
Yep.
fucking ever. You should be in jail for
Nope.
the rest of your life for that.
Yep.
But no, he lets him go. Now he's saying it's not an individual decision. This is just a blanket decision. Well, that's lazy bullshit. You have power. You have the power to turn this guy back in jail. You have the power to say, okay, we're not going to do this blanketly. We're going to make exceptions for this, this, and this. How this guy is ever going to walk free is unbelievable. His sentence was due to expire in 2026, and they said, no, he's been behaving well, so we'll let him out early. The misconduct of Conahan and another Luzerne County judge led the Pennsylvania Supreme Court to throw out 4,000 juvenile convictions, and the discredited state judges were ordered to pay $200 million to the victims. What's that?
4,000, Jesus.
4,000 kids that you locked up for money, and you're ever walking the streets a free man again? You locked up 4,000 kids for money, and that's not a life sentence in jail? That's unbelievable. They were ordered to pay $200 million to the victims, according to the Associated Press. Sandy Fonzo, the mother of Edward Kenzakowski, who died by self-deletion, we'll say, after spending time behind bars as part of the kickback scheme, said she was shocked and hurt after learning of Biden's decision to commute the rest of Conahan's punishment. Conahan's actions destroyed families, including mine, and my son's death is a tragic reminder of the consequences of his abuse of power, Fonzo told the Citizen's Voice, a local outlet. This pardon feels like an injustice for all of us who still suffer. Right now, I am processing and doing the best I can to cope with the pain that this has brought back. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, a Democrat, also said Friday at an unrelated news conference in Biden's hometown of Scranton that I do feel strongly that President Biden got it absolutely wrong and created a lot of pain here in northeastern Pennsylvania. So the one silver lining of this is that libs of TikTok, for this week anyway, is now anti-incarceration, apparently. Or not anti-incarceration, but, you know, she feels for the victims of this judge, at least. Heartbreaking moment, libs of TikTok tweets out. Sandy Fonzo confronted a judge who was part of the Kids for Cash scheme, where two judges were receiving millions of dollars to send kids to for-profit prisons. Her son ended up taking his life. Biden just commuted the sentence of one of the judges. Can Biden look Sandy in the eyes and explain why he commuted the judge's sentence? So this is old footage from the time of the case. Let's take a look.
You need to be. Do you remember me? Do you remember me? Do you remember my son, an all-star wrestler? He's gone. He shot himself in the heart. You scumbag.
A heartbroken, really an outraged mother lashing out at former Judge Mark Civarella. Now, her son, an all-star wrestler, killed himself after being sent to a juvenile detention facility for a minor drug offense. Now it turns out that Civarella was accepting money to do that, send kids away for cash. The former judge was convicted yesterday of 12 counts, including racketeering and money laundering. The judge remains free while he awaits sentencing.
I mean, what a vile fucking lowlife of a human being. And you're going to commute his sentence on the way out the door?
Joe Biden has always been this person.
I mean, what?
Joe Biden is fucking scum. That is why I never had any patience for libs trying to say Joe Biden. He's a decent man. That always made me sick. He's always been this person. He co-wrote the crime bill with segregationists and then bragged about it until his handlers grabbed him and said, yeah, Joe, it's not 1976. You can't brag about how you locked up and destroyed the lives of countless mostly black and brown people if you're running for president in 2020. And then he shut up about it. He started out, this is not ancient history, 2019. They never called me boy. They always called me son. He was bragging that he didn't get treated like black people did. 2019.
Yep.
Not 1980. He's a piece of fucking shit. Nobody should be surprised that he's pardoning his son. He was always going to do it. If it had been Harris, she would have been assigned to do it. Now it's not Harris. He's doing it. This was always going to end that way. He has always been one of the scummiest people in Washington, and that is a very competitive category.
Yeah, and I think now that, now that there's a lot of consensus around the fact that he basically vis-a-vis, through his own narcissism and dishonesty, handed the country back to Trump, I think the general consensus is going to be that he is just a piece of garbage. Like there's not going to be much love for
now
him.
he's a piece of garbage.
Right. Now
he's a piece
because
of,
Kamala
he wasn't
lost.
Before.
Right.
He wasn't before
exactly.
because now he cost you something.
Right. He cost them something.
And for most of these people, it didn't even cost them anything. It just cost them something emotionally.
Right. Now they're putting it in a diplomatic way because I guess they feel like there's still something to salvage on their donor list, although I don't really know what at this point, but they're saying he's a tragic figure. That's the talking point now. Carville, he's a tragic figure. Pod Save, he's a tragic figure. That's their way of saying he's a scumbag. Like, because what they're saying is, time after time, his ego has gotten in the way. This isn't ego. This is, you don't have to do this. Why do you, you're pardoning a man who locked up children for money. I mean, what could be more evil than that? This side of Tel Aviv. What could be more evil than that?
He just really wants to make the Pod Save guys work for their money.
Yeah. I mean, that is shocking.
Go ahead. Tell me again how Joe Biden is a decent man. Go ahead. Tell me again how he's the empathizer in chief. Go ahead. Tell me again how it's a wonderful thing to have Joe Biden do your eulogy because of his incredible empathy for other people. Tell me that again, you fucking pieces of shit. That drove me crazy because it was also, he's running at the height of George Floyd and Black Lives Matter. At the height of it. The same exact people who are telling you Black Lives Matter, not all of them, but the libs who couldn't put enough black squares in their profiles, they're telling you to vote for the fucking author of mass incarceration because Trump is a racist.
Right. Yep. That is pretty shocking. And here, this isn't the only one. There's some other one here too. There was similar fallout in Illinois after Biden gave clemency to Rita Crundwell, the former comptroller of Dixon, a city of roughly 15,000 in the northern part of the state. She pleaded guilty in 2012 to a $54 million embezzlement scheme which was believed to be the largest municipal fraud in U.S. history. She was sentenced to almost 20 years in prison, nearly the maximum, though she moved to house arrest during the pandemic. She was supposed to be on house arrest until 2028, according to the Bureau of Prisons. When I heard the news, I was completely shocked in disbelief. I was outraged and felt a complete sense of betrayal from the federal justice system, the White House, and the president, Dixon City manager Danny Langloss told CNN in an interview on Friday. Langloss, who said he doesn't affiliate with a political party, was the police chief when Crundwell's fraud was uncovered. He said he believes justice wasn't served here. I don't like the idea that with several more years of her sentence to complete, she gets to walk free in the community that she betrayed and stole from, Langloss said. Margaret Love, who served in the Justice Department as a U.S. pardon attorney from 1990 to 1997, said the fallout from Biden's latest commutations was a consequence of how the prison population was reduced during COVID under the Trump administration. So, that one is not as visceral as the first one, but still, this guy just seems to be burning the party down on the way out the door. Like, this is what a narcissist he is. Like, obviously, these pardons, and don't tell me, oh, it's just a blanket thing. Oh, the people who were relocated to house arrest during COVID, we're going to let them out because what? They didn't break out of their house and go on a murder spree down the block.
I feel like Charles Manson's done his time.
Yeah, right, exactly.
He's
like,
dead.
don't tell me, like, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You could make exceptions for these people, especially the first guy. I mean, the first guy, that's one of the most evil people I've ever heard of. I mean, I can't think of anything more sick than that. But, like, that you would saddle the party this way, that you would tank the party in this way, just shows what a narcissist he is. Like, absolutely zero concern for what your peers in the Democratic Party are going to be left holding after you leave office. Kamala Harris won the state of Illinois by single digits. Illinois is supposed to be a deep blue state. You're not supposed to have to think about that. That's colored blue permanently. We don't even think about that. She won it by, I think, 4 or 5 points. So you're just making things harder for your quote unquote allies on the way out the door because you lost and you don't give a fuck anymore.
Right.
Now, it's one thing to do that.
Out.
It's one thing to do that when the person in question is your son. I've said that, flawed man that I am. I'd have done the same thing for my son. I really don't count that as a, strike. But this is just like, this is depraved. This is just absolutely depraved that you would do. The guy fucking locks up children for money. Like, that's who you pardon on the way out the door? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wouldn't have pardoned my son, but,
Yeah. Well,
I'm not
that's
the,
why you,
I'm not the family man.
That's why you don't have any.
well, I do actually.
Oh, you have a son? I thought you had 3 daughters. I didn't know you had a boy.
No, I have 2 daughters and a son.
Oh, see, I learned something new about you. I thought you had 3 girls. I didn't think you had a son. See, that's interesting. All right. Well, be on your best behavior, kid.
That's right. Don't look to me for a pardon when I'm president.
Don't look to Russell for a pardon. Yes. All right, folks, let's do an ad for Rumble Premium between segments here. So, folks, this sponsorship is from Rumble. It's one that's incredibly important to the survival of the company. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for the small creator. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversations or censor opinions on topics like COVID. But they did. Facebook admitted they fell to such pressure from the Biden and Harris administration. Rumble did not, however. They held the line for free speech, and they're attacked daily for giving shows like us a voice and a platform to talk to audiences like you. They're attacked in corporate media. They're attacked by governments like France. They're attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. You saw the New York Times did that hit piece on Rumble. I'm going to write an article in response to that. I'll have that out early this week. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers because they don't get much of them. Watching our show on Rumble is the most they can ask from you, but if you really believe in this fight and if you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble is offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. So Rumble Premium is the ad-free version of the Rumble platform. So if you'd like to sign up and get $10 off, go to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we are, of course, just happy if you watch us on the platform. All righty. We will go on. We got a couple more segments here, and then we do have a Q&A over on Rumble later this evening, so make sure that you hang out with us for that here. Oh, let's see. Doc Durkin, Justin Bateman has launched a film fest excluding AI content. Justine, right. The first ever Credo 23 Film Festival is in LA next year from March 28th through the 30th. Any chance of getting either of you to attend? An anti-AI, so a film festival that doesn't accept AI content. Interesting.
That's an interesting question. She made the rounds a little bit after the election. I featured her heavily in my Gen X for Trump segment. It would be cool. I mean, I would love to cover it.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Gavin Hillock, thanks for the €5. The Mossad base in Dublin is closing due to the anti-Semitic actions and rhetoric that Ireland is taking against Israel. Happy birthday, Keaton. Thank you, Gavin. Appreciate that. Kai, thanks for the $27.99 Canadian dollars. Happy birthday, Keaton. Thank you very much. By the way, NAFTA was bad for Canadians too. Crazy, isn't it? Yes, thank you very much for that. Appreciate that. Conor McGregor was my friend. Thanks for the $19.99. Love you guys. Greetings from Austin, Texas, and all the InfoWars gremlins. Much love to Russell for covering the Onion story a second time. Keaton is chill as well. Thank you, Connor. Appreciate that. Hey, pass it along. If you work at InfoWars, pass that idea along to Alex to name his new outlet the
Shallot.
Shallots. Yeah. the Shallot. That would be good. Sparky, thanks for the $10. Zionists, imagine he does it. That would be crazy, huh? Zionists say that it's okay because Palestinians are animals. Let's say that's true. As devil's advocates, wouldn't the ASPCA have a problem with how Israelis treat Palestinians? Yeah, no, they treat them with no regard for any kind of life. Yes, thank you, Sparky. Moose World, thanks for the...
I'm just going to say, when I used to drive a horse and carriage, when you do that for a living, it's kind of a fact of life that you're occasionally going to get animal rights people screaming at you.
Mm-hmm.
They were always rich women, rich white women. I never had some working class person come up to me at work and yell at me. It was always somebody driving up with diamonds on their fingers from conflict zones screaming at me about driving a horse. Always, every time.
And Russ is an animal lover. Russ likes animals.
I love animals. I'm the kind of person who, Facebook has read me right. They pitch me T-shirts and cat videos.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of cat videos.
We did that story about the sheep. That was a great story.
Oh, yeah. Poor sheepy. Poor sheepy. The sheep was stranded on a beach for a couple of years.
On an island, yeah.
Oh, it was so sad. It was so sad. Yeah. They rescued the sheep, yeah.
Yep. So Moose World should out to Kansas, or shout out to Kansas for still shaking up the conservative Zog Inc., even though Trump won. Ziles on X are having a mental meltdown because of her. Yeah, she interviewed the USS Liberty guy. I meant to listen to that because I did a lot of driving the other day because I had to go downstate, and I should have listened to that. What did I listen to instead? I forget what I listened to instead. It was something stupid. I should have listened to that. Sparky, thanks for the $2. What about Rasputin? Thank you. Cadmus, the 15 inches was Destiny's words, not mine. Oh, he said 15 inches. Okay. All right. I take it back then. All right, because maybe it's technically possible, but highly unlikely.
So some people were asking. So let me just say, how are the horses treated? This is what I always answer to that question. This is what you have to understand. It is really hair-raising to train a horse to safely maneuver in New York City traffic. Once you have a horse trained to do that, you want that horse to be very healthy and to live a very long, happy, healthy life.
Yeah. As I
so
understand,
even if you're not an animal lover, there is no incentive to not treat that horse like gold, because that's essentially what it is. So the horses were treated very well. But most of the people who do it love horses.
Right.
Very few people who do it. You kind of have to, man. You're working every night with a horse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty interesting. On the one hand, they're not thought of as very smart animals. On the other hand, the relationship you have with an animal that you work with is unlike a relationship that you would have with a pet. Like, it's your coworker. So
Right.
you get to know each other. Like, I had a horse that was my favorite, Squire. I could get off that carriage in the middle of the street if something like, fell off the carriage. Go half a block. The horse would just look back and he would just look at me. He would just wait. And then once I got on, would not move. When I lifted the lines, when he felt the lines come off his back, he'd go.
Right.
That's like it's not like a pet, it's like a coworker.
Right.
It's like you're working together. So yeah, I mean, if I always said about it, if you think that this is animal cruelty, then you believe that animal labor is cruelty by definition, in which case you need to go to Pennsylvania and you need to go scream at the Amish, because they have these horses that we buy them from them. They have these horses out in the field pulling plows 12 to 16 hours a day.
Mhm.
If these horses could talk, believe me, they'd be like, yeah, I want that city gig.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
sweet. You just
they
work
have it
like
great.
2,
I mean, they mostly
3
just
hours
stand
and then you
around. I
just
mean,
eat.
it's a lot of standing around, eating, posing for
That's
pictures
it.
with the tourists coming. They
Yep.
pitch you on the nose. Like, it's not a bad gig.
For a workhorse, that is a luxury gig.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's the luxury gig. Happy birth, Keaton. Thanks, Brent Yoendo. You're a great father figure. Thank you. I think of you as a son. Well, thanks, Dad. Get yourself a candy. Much love. Thanks, Brent Yoendo. Appreciate that very much. Alrighty. We're gonna keep going here. All right, folks. This is kind of a quick one, but a good one. This is heartwarming. See, this is what politics is all about, folks. United Health Group CEO. The healthcare system is flawed. Let's fix it. That's right. Let's come together. Glad we could work together. Pleasure doing business with you guys. Let's see if we can work something out, fix this screwy healthcare system. As Brian Thompson's family, friends, and colleagues mourn his killing, we are bearing a grief and sadness we will carry for the rest of our lives. Grief for the family he leaves behind, and grief for a brilliant, kind man who was working to make healthcare better for everyone. We greatly appreciate the enormous outpouring of support for Brian, who ran our health insurance business, United Healthcare, as well as for our wider company, which I lead. Okay, so just so to clear up any confusion, because a lot of people are under the misconception that Thompson was CEO of United Health Group. He was CEO of United Healthcare. United Health Group owns essentially two companies, United Health Insurance and Optum, which is a major care provider, which is kind of crazy that they own a care provider and an insurer, since the providers and the insurers are often at odds with each other over what the insurers will pay for. So United Health Group is the parent company that owns both of those companies. Andrew Whitty, the author of this op-ed, is the CEO of that. Yet we are also struggling to make sense of this unconscionable act and the vitriol that has been directed at our colleagues who have been barraged by threats. I should have...
Fucking scumbag douchebag.
I was about to say, yeah, she used the soundboard a lot for this one, because a whole lot of tongue biting I'm doing through this first part of the piece. No employees, be they the people who answer customer calls or nurses who visit patients in their homes, should have to fear for their and their loved ones' safety.
Nobody is threatening nurses.
Well, this is what's amazing
about
this.
That's not what it's...
Well, that's why I wanted to mention that they are the parent company of both an insurance company and a provider. So yes, United Health does employ, as it says here, the people of United Health Group are nurses, doctors, patient and client advocates, technologists, and more. They all come to work each day to provide critical health services for millions of Americans in need. No, the doctors and the nurses who work for Optum, yes, they come to work to provide care. The other half of your company comes to work to try and screw patients out of care whenever they can to maximize profits for that sector, which is why I said it doesn't really make sense to me that you would own both, but they do. And notice he only mentions the cohort from the second group, from the Optum group, the nurses, the doctors, the advocates.
We are bureaucrats, pencil pushers.
Right. Exactly. We know the healthcare system does not work as well as it should, and we understand people's frustrations with it. No one would design a system like the one we have. Really, no one would design a system like the one we have, and no one did. Well, no, you did. You guys did. I mean, why does health insurance exist?
Yeah,
I mean,
why don't you just say we should not exist?
Right, our company
that would
should
be a
not exist.
respectable position.
Right, we're going to fold our insurance section. We're just going to own Optum. We're just going to provide care. We're going to stop being middlemen and profiteers off of the denial.
We're going to use our enormous lobbying power to disband our grift.
Our insurance company. That's right.
Yeah.
And it's a patchwork built over decades. Our mission is to help make it work better. We are willing to partner with anyone, as we always have. Healthcare providers, employers, patients, pharmaceutical companies, governments, and others to find ways to deliver high-quality care and lower costs. Clearly, we are not there yet. Clearly. We understand and share the desire to build a healthcare system that works better for everyone. That is the purpose of our organization. No, the purpose of your organization is the exact opposite of that.
Yes.
It is to overly complicate healthcare and to add unnecessary cost. Unnecessary cost. The spending that goes into healthcare helps pay for the obscene salaries of people like Brian Thompson, and he's one of the more egregious examples, but downstream of that, you have insurance brokers. We did a segment last week, an insurance broker laughing at the fact, that a guy with a chronic illness wasn't going to get his medicine covered anymore because it was costing the company too much money, laughing at the guy's mother for giving him a hard time. So that's the purpose of your organization, is to leech off of the health care
And they
of
worked
people.
for this company.
And they worked for this company. Exactly.
Yes. There is no reason for these companies to exist. They do nothing. Yes.
Right.
If you got rid of these health insurance companies, you'd have to hire some bureaucrats to take their place, but a fraction of what they employ.
Yes, this is 18% of our economy is healthcare. And for some reason, that is a talking point that is often weaponized against government-run healthcare. No, that's a talking point for government-run healthcare.
Right.
If healthcare is 18% of a country's spending, if what is that, $1 in $6? If $1 out of every $6 spent in a society is on healthcare, that means the healthcare system is bloated.
Yes.
It shouldn't be that $1 in every $6 spent is on healthcare. That's a reason to eliminate private. That is a reason to eliminate private sector health insurance.
Of course. There should be no such thing as medical debt.
Right.
It's insane that people lose everything they've worked for because they get sick.
Yep. Or get old. You know, my mother was just at an old folks home temporarily because my father had knee surgery, and so she had to stay at a place that could give her round-the-clock care. And you know, it's extremely expensive. It wipes you out if you have to stay there for the rest of your life. Thankfully, she only had to stay there for a few weeks, and now she's back home. But people live for as long as their checkbooks will take them, and then if they run out of money and they can't pay for it anymore, then they'll go into one of the government-run centers. But that's it. Like you will get cleaned out, and even those government-run centers, they will take what they can from you. The Medicare Advantage, this and that, the Part D, whatever. I mean, it is just crazy. It's just sick. Healthcare is both intensely personal and very complicated, and the reasons behind coverage decisions are not well understood. Pardon me. We share some of the responsibility for that. Oh, really? Oh, the reasons behind coverage decisions are not well understood. You mean the reasons behind denial of care are not well understood. Coverage decisions is insurance CEO speak for denial of care. We share some of the responsibility for that, meaning all of the responsibility for that, together with employers, governments, and others who pay for care. We need to improve how we explain what insurance covers and how decisions are made.
Oh, if you just explain it to people with chronic illnesses why, in order to boost your profit margins and please the shareholders, you do everything you can to complicate the process and to intimidate people out of appealing your decisions. If you just explained that, people would be good with it.
Exactly. Exactly. And this next part here, I mean, it just gets worse with every sentence. Behind each decision lies a comprehensive and continually updated body of clinical evidence focused on achieving the best health outcomes and ensuring patient safety. No, it does not. Behind each decision lies a calculation of whether or not you will remain profitable if you sign off on X, Y, or Z care, treatment, medication, surgery, whatever. It has nothing to do with ensuring the best health outcomes or patient safety. Nothing whatsoever. Not at all. Everybody has a horror story. This is why this is so laughable. And this is why they are in such shambles. Because everybody has had a negative interaction with a health insurance company. Now, for some people, it has meant catastrophe. For other people, it has meant inconvenience, right? Not everybody has a horror story in the sense that something horrible happened, but everybody knows what it's like to fight with an insurance company on the phone. I've done it. I'm sure everyone has done this. And so everyone knows that behind each decision does not lie a calculation about what's best for the patient. Everybody knows that's wrong. Everybody knows that's a lie.
Well, for-profit healthcare, it's like for-profit news.
Right.
There's an inherent conflict of interest in having that kind of a model.
Right. While the health system is not perfect, every corner of it is filled with people who try to do the best for those they serve. Brian was one of those people. He was raised in the same Iowa farmhouse as his mom. His dad spent more than 40 years unloading trucks at grain elevators. Yeah, they were honest people, and it's just what went wrong that they raised a guy like that who said, you know what, I'll get rich denying people life-saving medical treatment. Wow. Apple fell far from the tree there.
As long as I don't have to live on this fucking farm unloading trucks.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. His dad spent more than 40 years unloading trucks at grain elevators. BT, as we knew him, worked farm jobs as a kid.
That's very humanizing.
Yeah, BT.
I've got that changed my whole perspective on this douchebag.
Yeah. He fished at a gravel pit with his brother. He never forgot where he came from, because it was the needs of people who lived in places like Jewell, Iowa, that he considered first in finding ways to improve care. I didn't read this ahead of time. I had my own segments to do. This is physically hurting me. Yeah, well, you'll see what happens. So when a colleague proposed a new idea to Brian, he would always ask, would you want this for your own family? If not, end of discussion. Okay, that's just total bullshit. I mean, I do not believe that for a second. I have the right to say I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
Yeah. Profits exploded under him, as did denial of care.
Right.
And he was being investigated by the Justice Department for insider trading.
Right. Right. The guy was certainly a moral criminal and almost certainly a criminal, an actual criminal. Brian was never content with the status quo. That's why he pushed us to build dedicated teams to help the sickest people navigate the health system. It's why he fought for preventive health and quality health outcomes rather than simply adding ever more tests and procedures. Is that why? So he was a holistic healer. That's
right.
What it was.
Right.
Yeah.
It was into acupuncture.
He was into acupuncture, right? Herbal tea. Tea. No, you don't need that prescription medicine. Just take some elderflower and some dandelion root and rub it together, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Didn't you read RFK's book? You're good. He believed decisions about healthcare should start with the individual and champion plans in which consumers could see costs and coverage options up front so they could decide what's best for themselves and their families. In other words, they can realize that the shit the doctor wants them to do is too expensive, so they'll come up with a plan B to see if they can work around it.
When are we rolling out our turmeric and duct tape plan?
Right, exactly. Right. The ideas he advocated were aimed at making healthcare more affordable, more transparent, more intuitive, more compassionate, and more human. That's Brian's legacy, one that we will carry forward by continuing our work to make the health system work better for everyone. Okay,
Where the fuck do you get the balls?
Yeah. So that was the entire
that
op-ed.
was painful. It was literally painful.
Yeah.
That hurt me. It hurt me to listen to it.
So that wasn't long. That was the entire thing. In fairness to Witty, the guy who wrote this, I thought I should read the whole thing so that I'm not accused of taking anything out of context. So Ken Klippenstein tweets out, LOL, New York Times just disabled comments on the United Health CEO op-ed. So apparently 1,987 comments. The comment section is closed. To submit a letter to the editor for publication, write to letters@thenewyorktimes.com. So they turned off the chat section on the thing. They these guys, these are like the vanguard guys of the health insurance industry. Ken Klippenstein, top comments, LOL. So, okay, they were disabled, but apparently a few of the top ones, like the highest rated comments, were screenshotted and preserved for the internet. So, reader picks. So you could see the engagement was just like through the roof on this. 3,107 people recommended this comment. I mean, this was a viral thing. Yeah. Kevin C. in Boston, this is the quintessential CEO statement, not a single actual idea or recommendation, but gets released by the corporate media anyway. To say this doesn't match the moment is putting it mildly. The Prof from Maine says insurance companies should not be making decisions about the science of healthcare. They are compromised by the profit motive, and they have little connection to the actual provision of care. Ralph from Naples, Florida says, I have read this twice, and in essence, it says nothing. What is he proposing to change or improve? As the largest insurer, what will it take the lead on to improve access, coverage, and outcomes? Shocking in a way at this time of intense reaction to his industry's business practices. So, this was a New York Times message board. So these are very polite, genteel people here. So, they didn't light them up as much as they would have on X, which I looked on the New York Times. I looked on their X feed. They apparently did not post this article to X, which was a smart move on their part.
I wonder why they did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because X would not have been so kind. They wouldn't have been as diplomatic as these guys were.
No, they certainly wouldn't have. This is a teachable moment. I'm planning on doing a video essay about this, about the reaction to this from certain quarters. Hey, who is working very much in the same direction as the New York Times regarding this? It's the people who savage the New York Times all the time. Matt Walsh,
right?
Chris Williamson, Barry Weiss. All these people who supposedly are anti-establishment, right? But when the shit hits the fan, when these corporate powers are threatened, when the real underlying components of our failed system are under threat, they're all in one big fucking club. They're all in one big club. Matt Walsh sounds just like the New York Times now.
How dare you not have sympathy for this man?
Right? Brett Stevens, right? They're all on the same page as soon as there's a real threat to power. These people, these commentators, these podcasters, they are just another wing of the same set of handmaidens whose job is to keep you consumed with culture wars so that people like Brian Thompson can continue to rip you off.
Exactly. Yep. Very well said. Very well said. So we have a B-side to this segment in a second. We'll take some more super chats here. Happy birthday, Keaton, says Eric Maines. Your bleak view of humanity scared away those New Jersey drone aliens, but once the deep state catches up, your anal probe still awaits. LOL. Thank you, Eric Maines. Appreciate that. Funniest audience on YouTube. Andres Torres, thanks for the $9.99. In Why America Failed, Morris Berman also points out how election of Reagan blew away like dandelion spores in the wind, introspective culture of the 60s and 70s and dominant culture of hustling greed returned. Thank you, Andres Torres. Appreciate that. Sparky says, shouldn't Sultan Erdogan pull an epic troll and show up to his next international conference in a sedan chair? Thank you, Sparky. Eric Torres, thanks for the $2. I'd suggest with UHC do a banality of evil segments. That's interesting. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate that. Okay, Noah Goop says, I know it's gross to give money to Boeing, Russ, but if you get the chance, the Boeing Museum in Seattle is fucking awesome. I didn't know they were in Seattle.
I mean, I would go to something like that.
Yeah, that would be an interesting segment, actually. If I ever have $50 to toss your way, can I get the do-ba bow, oh yeah sound drop? All right, yeah, well, save up your $1 things, and we'll get that for you, Noah. Thank you, appreciate that. Stoop sign, I dated a Zionist. She never got me to flip on the issue. Good for you, holding a line. She was a Zionist because she'd just done Birthright. They gave her Molly and went to a rave, then solemn bonfire for further brainwashing. No, that's what they do. It's a big decadence fest. It's a big party.
That's what I heard.
Yep. Hillary Hinton says the Snake Plissken basketball scene in Escape from L.A. is the greatest moment in the history of camp. Love the shirt, Russ. Thank you, Hillary Hinton.
Thank you.
Okay, what else we got here? Okay. Miss J, if you're nasty, I don't want the government to run healthcare. I want the government to pay for it. Well, yes, that's a good point, and that's something, that's the other thing, here in the United States, since, our economy is basically run on an austerity model, people assume when you say, well, the government's going to run healthcare that, a hospital is going to look like the DMV. Well, if you actually look at countries that make investments in things, their hospitals are actually very nice. Now, in some of these countries, the government actually runs them. In some of these countries, the hospitals are independently owned and the doctors are in private practice and the government just pays for it. Right. But even in the places where the government runs the whole thing, they're nicer than a lot of our privately owned hospitals. Like, it's just people have a hard time in America accepting that the government can do anything well. And the reason they don't accept that is because the government intentionally doesn't do things well because they don't want you to trust them. They don't want you to disempower the private sector.
Right.
It's very much you get government spending all this money on war, and then they'll tell you, well, we can't afford to spend money anywhere else. And where we can, look, it's not very good. Well, it's not very good because you don't make that investment. We're not a country that makes that investment.
American elites greatly benefit from America's geographic isolation.
Right.
I don't know if we did a segment on it or not. I think it's something like 70% of Americans don't have a passport.
Right. Right.
They have no fucking idea. They're just told, oh my God, if you go to these other countries, you have to wait 8 years to get a tumor removed. They don't know. They don't know. They've never been any place. As soon as you leave this country, you see functioning government. Right. You see functioning public services.
Jails.
And you say,
right?
Huh?
Jails, like that Michael Moore movie, Where to Invade Next, where he goes to all these different countries and he'll focus on one thing they do that do well that we don't do. We have these for-profit jails in the U.S. They look like dungeons.
Right.
He goes over to, I forget, it was one of the Scandinavian countries. The guy's in fucking prison for murder. He's got like a condo. I mean, the jails are like a condo.
It's like a condo. In New York, you'd pay 1.2.
You'd pay $4,000 for that. $4,000 a month for that fucking place. And that's
$1.2 million to buy.
To buy, to buy, right? Exactly. The guy's cutting up food with a big knife.
Yeah,
the guy's
got a kitchen.
He's making himself a nice meal. And Mike says, so what are you in for? He says, murder. He's got a fucking huge knife. He's carving up food with it.
Yeah. And in the end, you look at that, and a lot of Americans, because they've been so brutalized and brainwashed, will say, that's bullshit. That guy should have. Okay, well, assuming you're going to eventually release people, who would you rather have in your neighborhood? Somebody who's been brutalized and traumatized?
Right.
Or somebody who's had a chance to actually reflect and who is not going to be given new reasons to be full of hate and resentment, because most people who end up in a position like that already had reasons to feel that way. That's how they ended up there.
Exactly. These are supposed to be correctional facilities, are they not? Right.
Right.
Okay. Let's move on. All right, we got two more pieces. This is a quick one. This is kind of a B-side to the first one. So this was pretty funny stuff. So, the media has been really trying to tone police the response to the healthcare CEO murder in New York City. And look, there were certain people who gave them the red meat to go at them, Taylor Lorenz being one of them. But they have such a hard-on for Joe Rogan that they can't help going after Joe Rogan for making what was a completely benign and innocuous comment on this. It's pretty funny how they go after him for this. So they will play a brief excerpt where he briefly touches upon the Brian Thompson murder. This was on the Quentin Tarantino, Roger Avery episode. So the voice that's not Rogan is Roger Avery's voice. And of course we have to freeze frame it for audio purposes because I understand the Joe Rogan Experience, they don't make very much money over there. It's a really sort of bubblegum and paper clips type operation they're running. So they like to copyright claim videos to keep the
They're
ad
running
revenue.
on fumes.
Yeah, if you show the video. So we're going to play the audio portion of the quote in question, and then we'll see the CNN people try and gin up outrage over this.
He's gonna be crying too hard over that guy.
Yeah, maybe his family, but that's about it.
Yeah.
It's a dirty, dirty business. The business of insurance is gross. It's gross, and especially healthcare insurance, just gross.
I have to say, I mean, this is so weird. Yeah. But a man was murdered in the streets of New York.
He didn't say anything. He said, I want to play this one more time. He said, yeah, it's a dirty business. The one guy says, I don't think people are going to be crying tears for this guy. And Rogan's like, yeah, it's a dirty business. Oh,
I don't think anybody's gonna be crying too hard over that guy.
Yeah, maybe his family, but that's about it.
Yeah.
It's a dirty, dirty business. The business of insurance is gross. It's gross, and especially healthcare insurance, just gross.
I have to say, I mean, this is so weird. Yeah. But a man was murdered in the streets of New York. And I mean, there's a conversation that's happening now about that stuff, but it's so interesting to see how quickly it's turned to health insurance executives are bad, actually. And that's the moral of the story. I mean,
well, they are bad, actually. Yes, and that's all he said. You could just see, the
and
producer.
again, your whole intellectual dark web,
right?
Those are the anti-CNN people, right?
Right.
They're all on the same page when elites get threatened. All of a sudden, they all agree.
Right. And what did Rogan say that was worse than that? That's basically what Rogan said, was that, it's a brutal business. It's a dirty business. It's gross.
True at once. The healthcare industry can have major problems. It can be, as Joe Rogan was saying, a dirty, dirty business.
Well, that's what he said.
But also, a human life was taken, a father, a husband, also on the streets of New York. I live in New York City. I could have been easily walking by right when that happened. Somebody else could have been killed.
You weren't the target.
And so these two things can be true at the same time. And I think it is very disrespectful, not only to a human life, to somebody who was killed, to the people of New York City, but also to the debate that we could be having about the healthcare industry when you put it in these terms, when you celebrate something like this. Because, I'd like to see Joe Rogan say that to the face of the CEO's wife and his kids and see if he'd have those same tones when he's actually confronted face to face with that human life.
Well, first of all, yeah, I would. And also, he didn't celebrate anything. He said it's a business. I don't think people are going to. First of all, the other guy, the guest, said, I don't think people are going to be crying too many tears. And Rogan said, except for maybe his family, because health insurance is a gross business. That's why there's not an outpouring of sympathy. That's all he said. He didn't even go to the place that, Taylor Lorenz went. But it's so obvious that, at these corporate media headquarters, they have such a hard-on for him that they were just Rogan commented on this. We have to make that sound dangerous and extreme, even though the guy basically had as benign a take as you possibly could, which is, it's a gross business, so there's not a lot of goodwill for this guy. That's all he said. He didn't say anything worse than that.
This is part of why nobody watches CNN, I mean, they have no viewers, really. I mean,
Right.
particularly post-election. Nobody watches CNN. But also, when you just watch this panel, that's what they're there for. That is what they're there for. Who the fuck cares what Hannah or Adasa or whatever the fuck her name was thinks about anything? Who the
Right.
fuck is she?
Right.
That's how she gets the paycheck. I can tell you, it's interesting when you do this for a living, when you talk in a microphone for a living. So what are you getting paid for? You're getting paid to give takes, right?
Right.
That's what you're getting paid for. You're getting paid to do research, to hopefully become informed on the subject enough to comment on it and to give your take. Now, in our case, and in the case of most independent podcasters, you're actually saying what you think. There are a lot of people, including in this space, who are not doing that. Now, in the case of independent podcasters who are not just giving their honest take, they're looking to the audience. And what do they want to hear? And it's what I call barking at the moon. If they know their audience, their core audience likes a certain kind of take or likes a certain kind of rending of the shirt, oh my God, a certain kind of beating of the breast, they'll do that kind of a performance for that audience. In the case of a CNN panel like this, they're barking at the moon to please their corporate overlords. That's what they're there for. There's no value added by these people. They don't have any particular talent, charisma. They're not interesting. They're not even particularly bright. What they are is totally amoral and willing to spit out exactly what the CNN owners want to hear, corporate propaganda. That is the only function that they serve. That's what they get paid for. They don't have any opinions. They have opinions like somebody who's on the debate team in college has an opinion, right? They tell you what your position is. You go up there and you present that position. That's all these people do.
Yep, absolutely. Jack Page, happy birthday, Keaton, and thanks for the gift of your work. Well, that's very kind of you to say, Jack Page. Appreciate that. Wishing you only the best for your next trip around the sun. Much love and respect. Well, thank you very much. That's
Thank
very
you,
kind of you to
Jax.
say.
One of our
Appreciate
oldest
it.
viewers.
That's right, Jack's Page. Everybody
Chronologically,
follow Jax.
I mean, yeah.
Right,
Around the
one of our
show.
longest time viewers.
One of our longest time
Yes.
viewers.
One of our oldest viewers. She's upset that her grandkids couldn't come visit her in Australia. Yes. Pearl's Queen won't be phoning in. Nothing to say as usual. That's all right. You got something to say sometimes. Just want to say I love the live chat. You two reprobates. Looking forward to your streams. Nice to chat in the live chat when you live alone. Thanks all. Well, thank you, Pearl's Queen. We appreciate that. It's very kind of you to say.
you.
Kawaii Cowboy, happy birthday, Keaton. Thank you, Kawaii Cowboy. Appreciate that very much. Okay, let's see here. Where is it here? Here we go. Sparky, sorry. Like the military budget, that $1 in $6 for Americans' healthcare is not spent, it's misspent. Yes, thank you, Sparky. Sparky says Lindsey Graham was an Army enlisted man before he became a JAG officer in the Air Force Reserve. Despite humble roots like the United Healthcare guy, Lindsey Graham's a psychopath too. Thank you, Sparky. Debsmo, thanks for the $10 super sticker. Appreciate that. Sparky, thanks for the $10. I imagine that the Boeing Museum mostly features planes from when they had a decent corporate culture, like my favorite,
Yes,
the Queen of
I would
Skies,
think,
the 747. Loved flying on the upper deck. Flying was a party. Thank you, Sparky.
I
Appreciate
did
that.
I did the Aviation Smithsonian Museum there, Air and Space Museum there.
Oh, okay.
But there's an off-site one that's like in the suburbs. That's the one that has like the really cool stuff.
Right.
I didn't have a way to get out there. I did see the Wright brothers plane though.
Oh, yeah,
That was
yeah,
cool.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You showed me that. Alrighty. We got one more segment on the night, and then that's our show. And we do have a Q&A over on Rumble afterwards. So if you want to head over there now, you can get a head start. DoDissidents.com/Rumble takes you directly to this stream, thanks to Jake's hyperlink there. So DoDissidents.com/Rumble. Oh, hey, Jake, while we got you here, why don't we plug the merch shop? Can you get that merch shop up? We'll do that after this segment. So I'll give you a few minutes to get that prepped, and then we'll see if we can move some schmatas on the way out. All right, so Russell, go ahead. We got one more segment here.
All right. Wanted to close out with the feel-good story of the week.
Right.
So Luigi Mangione, a lot of people are treating him as a hero, but according to failed shortlist for the VP slot, Governor Josh Shapiro, he is no hero. He is no hero. The real hero is the rat.
In some dark corners, this killer is being hailed as a hero. Hear me on this. He is no hero. The real hero in this story is the person who called 911 at McDonald's this morning.
Well, you know, a lot of the internet doesn't seem to share that belief, which is why this person is remaining anonymous in all likelihood. So this was a McDonald's worker who called it in. That's a well-known fact now. Social media has had a lot of fun with that. Hey, Luigi, we would never rat you out, baby. They rather buxom woman pictured from Burger King. Our friend Professor Zenkis, who we interviewed a while back, people didn't know which McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania was the one where Luigi Mangione was identified and apprehended, so they decided to hit all the Altoona McDonald's on Yelp with bad reviews. Apparently, the reviewers seemed concerned about the rat problem. A lot of that's been going around. This I thought was pretty funny. The last thing the McDonald's rat who called in Luigi sees before the pillow is held over his face with a terrifying picture of Grimace. But here's the feel-good element. He might not get the reward money. This has been making the rounds this week. During the days-long multi-state manhunt, both state and federal law enforcement offered a reward for information. $10,000 from the New York Police Department and up to $50,000 from the FBI. Quote, the individual in Pennsylvania who called in a tip is eligible to receive the reward, the NYC Police Foundation, which administers the NYPD's Crime Stoppers program, confirmed to NPR on Friday. There are several hefty strings attached, however. Now, by the end of this segment, if you were thinking about becoming a rat for the money, it's not as easy as you thought.
Well, this is kind of like when you have a United Healthcare in insurance plan.
It's as bad as having cancer with private health insurance.
Right.
That's how bad it is trying to get your reward from the government, apparently. Notably, both the NYPD and FBI stipulate that the tips must lead to an arrest and conviction. The NYPD typically only requires an arrest and indictment, but the threshold is higher for rewards above $3,500, the foundation said. Mangione was arrested on 5 charges in Pennsylvania, including illegal possession of a firearm and forgery, and later charged with murder in New York. He is fighting extradition, a move lawyers say is unlikely to succeed, but could delay the process by up to a few weeks, meaning a trial, let alone potential conviction, is still several steps away. Even if that does happen, it's not guaranteed that any one individual will get the full $60,000, especially considering taxes and the possibility of the reward being split between multiple people. Now, first of all, it seems to me that that money should be tax-free, right? Doesn't the government have the power to make that tax-free?
I mean, you're helping the government. What? I'm helping you out here.
Right, but it gets worse. NYPD officials said more than 400 tips came in during the 5-day period, with about 30 of them proving useful about the gunman's whereabouts, according to the Associated Press. Here's what would need to happen for someone to get the reward. The NYPD's Crime Stoppers program encourages people to submit tips about violent crimes by calling a hotline or filling out an online form, a process it says is completely anonymous. Anyone who provides information will get a reference number, which they can use to follow up on the investigation, either online or by phone after at least 1 week. If that person's tip leads to an arrest and indictment, they will receive a reward of up to $3,500. A New York City Police Foundation committee conducts a case-by-case review to determine the exact amount. The foundation has partnered with the NYPD to administer the program since 1983. It says calls to Crime Stoppers have helped solve more than 5,600 violent crimes and resulted in over $3 million in approved rewards. Now, I put in an editor's note here from Unilad's coverage on this because this article doesn't mention this. If the informant called 911 instead of Crime Stoppers, they might be unable to make the claim. This is why. You get a code. Without that code, you can't claim a reward. You only get that code if you called into Crime Stoppers. If you called into 911, you don't get the code. There's no way for you to claim the reward.
That's an American system they got there.
That is very much like our healthcare, the system of reward.
Hey, you got to go through Ticketmaster. Otherwise, no entry.
Yeah, not a lot of incentive to drop dime.
Yeah.
Getting rewards from the FBI is significantly more involved than that. That happens through Rewards for Justice, an interagency program that it is administered by the State Department's Bureau of Diplomatic Security and offers rewards for information related to certain threats to national security, including terrorism. Notably, individuals cannot initiate the process on their own. A U.S. investigating agency, in this case the FBI, must first nominate a person, which triggers a legal review of eligibility. Then an interagency committee evaluates the information from the nominating agency and makes a non-binding recommendation to the Secretary of State, who has ultimate discretion over whether to authorize a reward and how much it should be. This is quite Byzantine.
Yeah, this is like Ezekiel Emanuel engineered this plan.
Yeah, what if Destiny's working there and you railed his wife? You're screwed. He's never going to nominate you. Reward offers can reach up to $25 million, according to the State Department. The department says determining factors include, quote, the value of the information provided, the level of threat mitigated by the information received, the severity of danger or injury to U.S. persons or property presented by the threat, the risk faced by a source and his/her family, and the degree of a source's cooperation. Since its inception in 1984, RFJ has paid over $250 million to more than 125 individuals whose efforts have saved countless lives, according to its website. Because of the program's emphasis on confidentiality, authorities don't publicly share specifics about rewards. They typically don't even publicize that a reward has been paid, with the exception of some high-profile cases. RFJ paid $2 million for information that led to the 1995 capture of Pakistan's Ramzi Youssef, one of the people convicted in the 1993 World Trade Center truck bombing. In 2014, it paid $3 million to an individual who shared information that led to the arrest and conviction of Ahmed Abu Khadallah, the architect of the 2012 Benghazi attack.
See, wages are not keeping up with inflation, folks. What do we keep saying?
That's it. And also, if they don't tell you,
be able to rent a one-bedroom apartment on an informant's salary.
You used to be able to. Yeah, you used to be able to live on being an informant, right?
Yeah.
Look at this. You got to go through all these hoops. So somebody made a little meme of this. Get back to work, wagey. If I see you on the phone again, it's a write-up, with a crying McDonald's worker who was hoping to get out of that horrific job, unless you're in California, because now they pay a living wage. Get out of that job with the reward money. So there's a little irony. So if anyone out there is thinking of ratting, hey, it's not all it's cracked up to be being a rat.
It's just the most American thing you can think of.
It's hard to get that cheese.
Yeah. It's just the most American thing you could think of, to say, well, yeah, there's got to be a reward for helping us find this guy. And then the guy who does it is a working stiff at McDonald's. And now you're going to say, well, actually, did you read the fine print? Did you call this number instead of that number? And there's going to be taxes on that. And you're going to have to share this with other people who also called us up. Well, the people who called you up with bum tips, they don't get anything. I mean, anybody can call you up with a bum tip, right?
Right.
It's the guy who called
Right.
up with the right tip. He's
Right.
he's supposed to be the one who gets something. But no, they'll wiggle out of it. Just like when you pay that health insurance premium every month thinking, okay, I'm paying this money because when I need it, they're going to spring for me. No, they figure out a way not to spring for you. Kind of the same thing here, right? I mean, it's that is the ultimate karma.
Alas, it is only now that I understand the mind of Luigi Mangione, as
Right.
I am denied my rightful reward.
Right, exactly.
I got this rat.
Yeah. All right. Wasn't me. I almost and would have died from an infection in Holland in the hospital. My parents flew over, helped me escape the hospital, then rushed me back to Mass General and was saved. True story. Well, thank you. Wasn't me. That sounds horrible. Wow. 1997. Wow. I wonder what that infection was going to be. Wow. That's crazy. Luis Dela Cruz, thanks for the $4.99. Happy birthday, Keaton. I heard from a friend of mine, one that Luigi Mangione is up for Grammy of the year's biggest hit. But there you go. Wasn't me. Thanks for the $10. They wanted to treat my infection by giving me morphine. No antibiotics were offered or given to me until I got back to the USA. Social care that I had experienced would have allowed me to die. Well, that sounds like a terrible ordeal. So they were not going to give you antibiotics for the infection. I was curious to know what the infection was. And look, I'm not going to say that there aren't obvious cases of mistreatment there. I mean, that could have been the case there. Eric Torres, thanks for the $2. Happy birthday, scumbag, douchebag. Thank you, Eric Torres. Henry DeShazo, thanks for the $5. Happy birthday, Keaton. Hey, RB, thanks for the follow back. Good segment on Jimmy Show. Oh, yeah, that's right. RB Ham was interviewed on the Jimmy Dore Show Friday.
Right.
Yeah, that was great. That was a great segment. Yeah, that's awesome that they were able to make that happen. You don't deserve that tyranny. Yo, Jax, hope your pup is doing well. Oh, do you have a sick puppy, Jax Page? Is your dog? I hope your dog's all right. Yeah, obviously, best wishes to your pup if he's sick or she's sick. Brendan McNamara, thanks for the $2. Renewed passports come from having money to travel. Thank you, Brandon McNamara. No, but I think most Americans don't even have. Do they not have any? Do you get a passport automatically, or do you have to apply for one when you turn 18 or something, or
Of course,
even
you
before
have to
18?
apply for one. Don't
Yeah,
you have
so
a
you don't-
passport?
No, I have one. Yeah, but I don't remember how I got one.
Yeah, you have to apply for it. You don't just get one.
So is it the same? So is it that 70%?
And you got to pay like $200.
Yeah, so that they don't. You have to pay $200 to get a passport.
I believe so. Yeah, I think it was like 200.
And that's bullshit.
Because I just had to have it renewed to go to India.
Ah, interesting.
People
People
it's
need
going to
to
expire. Like you have to have at least 6 months left on your passport.
Right. All right, interesting. People need to stop calling Luigi Mangione a hero. He's only an alleged hero at this point. Thank you for AJ669155. We of course have to say, we don't condone it. We're just here to explain cause and
It's
effect.
terrible.
It's terrible.
It's terrible the way that CEO fell on a banana peel.
As someone who's had family members constantly in and out of jail and prison, I wish it had actually made them into functioning members of society during my childhood. Yep.
There you go.
Absolutely. Other countries have correctional facilities. Americans have penal facilities. Absolutely. Thank you, China Shill. Appreciate that. Happiest of all birthdays to you, senor. Thank you, Winnetou Livre. Appreciate that. Haven't seen you in a while, Winnetou Livre. Thank you for that. Appreciate that very much. All right. Hey, Jake, why don't we put the merch store up there? So if you want, you can go to dudissidents.com/merch, and you can find our stuff. We got some great apparel, great designs, t-shirts, hoodies, those coffee mugs. I love those coffee mugs. Jake, can you click the plain white coffee mug? Not that one. I mean, that one's okay too. But yeah. Well, that's the black handle.
Those
I
are
like
pretty
the one
good
with the
looking
white-
mugs.
Oh, yeah. I like the one with the white handle. Can you go to the one with the white handle?
Yeah.
Just the
I
plain
mean, I
one.
always drink a cup of coffee on the show. I should really get one.
Yeah, that's where it's at. I mean, that is a beautiful
Yeah.
mug right there. So far, we've sold 7 mugs. So that's it. They're flying out the door.
They're
those
flying off
mugs.
the shelves.
They're flying off the shelves, those mugs. So go to dudissidents.com/merch. Good for hot cocoa for the holiday season. And then we got some hats. Dudissidents, and the Maiden logo there. Beautiful. So thank you guys for making that up for us. Dudissidents.com/merch. Get your hands on some of that. today. All right, thanks, Jake. Appreciate that.
So speaking of, I gotta say I'm springing this on Keaton now. So speaking of having the smartest, funniest audience on YouTube, which I honestly believe because I watch other people's show, you guys are actually fucking funny. I'm reading these scripts. I'm more and more I'm thinking I'm going about this the wrong way. By the end of my directing career, I was just developing shows in workshop with my actors. I would just workshop stuff and I would write the script from what they improv'd. I'm seriously thinking about just collectively have a separate mailbox because we'll get deluged in our email. We already get buried enough. And just have people throw out like sketch scenarios, concepts, snatches of dialogue. Basically do a big online collective workshop. Like just hive mind this shit. We are not going to get these lib trust fund puppy playwrights submitting anything we want to produce. I am more and more coming to that conclusion. It's all look at the dumb conservatives. Dude, I've only had time to read, I don't know, maybe 30 plays at this point. I've got at least 5 that are about abortion rights, and I've got at least 4 that are about gun control, at least.
Right.
And several that are, oh, look at the future. Look at how the stupid conservatives took over. And look how stupid they are. It's fucking terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I could have told you that. It's not a surprise.
Come on, man. We're funny guys.
This is
Our
why I don't
audience
do-
is
this is why I don't
great.
do
Me
theater
and you will get together. We'll write the shit, man.
Yeah. Medical errors can happen anywhere, but the U.S. has the highest rate of errors and highest medical cost per capita. Thank you. Appreciate that very much. All right, we got Ken Texican. Guess I'm late to the party, but happy birthday, Keaton. Thank you, Ken Texican. Appreciate that very much. Thank you, sir. All righty, everybody. Well, that is our show. We thank you very, very much for being here. We appreciate you all. Thanks for making it a great birthday show. And if you want to come and hang out with us over on Rumble for the Q&A after party, please do dissidents.com/Rumble. That takes you over there. There will be a 5-minute intermission, as there always is. And then we will continue the show over on the Rumble side. We will see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. for Ellen Jimerson's film, The Second Cooler. We'll be screening that at 8 p.m. here on YouTube and Rumble, so be there for that. That is a special event. We'll have a talk back with Ellen and Todd Miller after the film. And then we'll be back here Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Thank you to our YouTubers, to our Rumblers. Thank you to Jake.
I do have a special custom intermission.
That's
right. The new hit by Jesse Wells about
there you go.
There Ain't No You in United Health.
Yeah,
and
Jimmy did a
of
segment
course
on that
one
the
of
other
my
day.
vintage trailers. Yes.
The Hamburger Man in McDee's jail for decades. Somebody should have warned Luigi not to go there. As far as the rat, what can you expect? It works for a clown. Great show, gents. Thank you. Yes, good one. Thank you, 007 Angelo. Thanks, Jake, for being in the booth. Thanks, everybody, for watching. DoDissidents.com/Rumble if you want to hang out for the Q&A after party. Patrons, paid Substack subscribers, paid Locals members have call-in access. You can start forming a call-in line right now. We will see you guys in 5 minutes after this brief break. If not, we'll see you guys tomorrow, 8 p.m. for the film screening, and then back here Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern for the next regularly scheduled stream. Until then, thank you very much for this evening. Be safe and be well.
Courage.
Please clap.